Welcome to another edition of Dogger Pass Podcast. This is for UFC Atlantic City. Producer Megan is on the stick. Multiple sticks. Cody Saftik, the man, the myth, the loser of last week's shoey bet, is on the line. Cody. Edmund fight, taking overs. Come on, bro. What are you thinking? That fight never looked like an over at any point.
Okay. First of all, we knew Edmund was going to come out looking good. I just didn't expect him to come out looking that good. No, he got rocked, first of all, so he could have very well easily has lost that fight. But he recovers and he rocks Dobson right back. I thought Dobson would look to wrestle more because that's kind of the path to being Shabazian, is tire him out and wrestle him, not get into a gunfight early. And for Shabazian, I thought he would try to take his time because he's got a tendency to gas out. But when Dobson came at him and rocked him, well, it became fight or flight. He had no other option. He's a dog backed into a corner. So he came out guns a-blazing, and then that's kind of actually what he does best. And Dobson just couldn't take the heat. So, yeah, unfortunately, Paul Shaughnessy, right, on the... It's not the first shoey bet of the year, but we haven't made a whole lot of them in a while. So you got one over on me, kid. I give you that.
I'm picking my battles. Funny that you bring up dogs. That dog's got bite. Speaking of Igor Severino, before we get into the next thing, like, what a wild thing that is. We were kind of laughing about, like, the things you can't really predict in fighting. It's like, you can do all the tape. You can be like, this seems like it's going to be a 50-50 fight. This is all, and it's playing out exactly kind of how you think. It's like, it's real close, but I got the plus money side. I'm feeling pretty good about it. This kid looks like he can go another 15 minutes. And then he bites him. We got a leaker. Those are like pretty respectable shoes that you're drinking out of today. Yeah, where are the barn boots there, bud? Oh no.
Ugh.
Oh no. That looks like a struggle.
Okay, let me tell you the story.
Oh dear. You're gonna be okay.
Okay. Yeah, no, maybe not. Okay. So as those who follow me on social may or may not know, I hit like the biggest slammer. And as such, time for me to move on with my life and do bigger and better things. It's just natural. So I'm in the process of moving. I just got a new place. Moving. This might be the last shot in this studio, to be honest. Wow. I'm packing up all my stuff. Everything. I know. Because we're going to do the UFC 300 show in Vegas. Maybe I'll do next week here. But yeah, everything's getting moved. So it'll be a whole new setup. Got a new place. And yeah, exciting times. As such, I like struggled to find a beer. You reminded me, you're like, yeah, man, you lost that shoey pass. Like, shit, he's right. I did.
It took about 5 minutes for you to find
all my beers at the other place because I've been moving stuff with my buddies, right? So you got beer at the other place. So I scrounged up, and man, this thing, it's a Native American craft straw sour, 4.7% alcohol.
Yeah. Oh, a sour
beer. As soon as I took
shoey?
that first sip, as soon as I took that first sip, it was like a red wine, a sour red wine. So I knew I was in trouble right off the get-go. Second thing, those boots, don't even know where the hell they are. But those wrestling boots, I was able to scrounge those up quick. And they got vents in them, I guess, to let your foot breathe because, you're sweating in the wrestling room. So it was not a great idea. Wasn't a great idea to use a sour red wine type beer. Wasn't a good idea to pour it in that wrestling shoe. Wasn't a good idea to bet the over 2.5 rounds on that fight to begin with. So all I can do is apologize and move on to the next one and hopefully catch Paul on a better. I got some dogs on this card. I'll take if you want some action, maybe we can work something out.
We'll
if not, I won't force anything again.
We'll see. We'll see what pops off. What pops off the page. Anyway, there is 14 fights. Let's get into them right now. We got Erin Blanchfield taking on Manon Fiorot in the main event. Erin Blanchfield is a minus 170 favorite. Fiorot can be had for plus 150. Cody, take it away.
To me, okay, very much like one of these Pat Mayo type, just take the underdog. Women's MMA, main event, 5 rounds. Both girls got past the victory, tight fight. So whoever is the plus money is honestly the value play. And the value play in this main event, to me, not bad. So I am going to go with Fiorot for the record. We will break down the fight, but seems like the value play would be on her side. To me, though, this is the future versus, is Blanchfield the present or is she the future? 100% this girl's going to challenge for the title. 100% this girl's going to win a title. 100% this girl's going to be a threat in the division for years to come. But right now, at 24 years old, she's not that prime version. She still, has some glaring holes in her game. She's a little bit green in some areas. She's not that refined version that's eventually going to go on this great run. So the time to exploit her would be now. Whereas Manon Fiorot, this is her time right now. She's 33 years old. She's already got that skill set. It's not going to develop a whole lot better, but it's adequate for what she needs right now against Erin Blanchfield. And that's use that mobility, use the footwork, stick and run, stay to the outside, keep the fight upright, and do it for 5 rounds. No doubt about it, Blanchfield's got cardio for days. In a 5-round situation, this is her first 5-round fight, this favors her very much because she can push a hell of a pace. If she loses some early rounds, doesn't matter. She's still going to be live in 3, 4, 5. She probably wins 4 and 5 even in this instance. And she's always going to be that threat for the submission, right? So I get Blanchfield backers. I get why she would be the favorite. But that's in a 5-round situation as the play goes out. If you're looking to bet Blanchfield, I think you bet Blanchfield live market when she's the underdog because she's dropped the first 2 rounds and hope she's able to get this thing to the ground. But therein lies the problem, Paul. We've got striker versus grappler, 100%. Nobody's disagreeing about that. It comes down to the wrestling. And with Manon Fiorot, we know that she's got very adequate takedown defense. She hasn't exactly gone up against the best grapplers of the division, but still respectable former champion Rose Namajunas. She's been in there with title challengers. Her takedown defense has held up. It's Blanchfield that's got me a little bit worried, to be honest with you. She comes into the UFC, she takes down Sarah Alpar 3 times. Great, looks solid. The 7 takedowns over Miranda Maverick. My God, this girl looks like she's a complete package. Maverick's got decent grappling. She's jacked. To take her down 7 times as a young kid really does mean something. Since then, she's struggled largely. She went 0 for 4 in takedowns against JJ Aldrich. That's a red flag. In fact, she got taken down twice by JJ Aldrich. 1 takedown against Molly McCann and then gets the submission. 1 takedown against Jessica Andrade and got the submission. Taylor Santos, she goes 0 for 14 on takedown attempts. Didn't even get a whiff. Problematic because you can see the trend building. Like JJ Aldrich is a fringe 15 contender. Then you're moving up to Molly McCann. Also probably a fringe 10 contender if she's motivated. Molly McCann motivated is a different version than Molly McCann not motivated. I digress. Jessica Andrade is a former world champion, right? So as you move up, it's going to get harder and harder, but she's seemingly at 24, kind of at that point where you're not just going to go and take down everybody. So you need to fall back on the striking. And she has been able to do so. But in 15 minutes with Taylor Santos, 61. I guess most of the other time she's racking up a whole lot of ground strikes. So without those ground strikes, if she's forced to strike, because all I'm saying is that Manon Fiorot is going to be a live underdog in a striking battle. If Blanchfield tries to get this fight to the ground, Fiorot looks like she's got, again, adequate takedown defense to keep this fight upright. If she does so, it's going to remain a striking battle, which she should just be able to out-volume her, chip away, use the hand speed, use the speed. Blanchfield is come forward, throw overhands, search for that takedown, search to kill the pocket, get a hold of you. But those are the kind of opponents that Fiorot thrives against, is aggressive opponents that want to come forward because she's a natural counterpuncher. All of it just plays that Fiorot's got an actual chance of winning this fight, and she's marked as the underdog. And for that reasons, I tend to be leaning with it. Would it be high up on my priorities this week? Yeah, probably not. Super competitive. I really like Blanchfield. I just think that they're meeting at that point in the road where Fiorot's probably at her career best. This is going to be the best version of her. If not, the next year or two are really going to be the best versions of her. Then you'll see her tail off because Blanchfield's going to keep getting better. And the best version of her is 4 years away from now. So, yeah, I'll take the live underdog.
Yeah, I think it's more of a price play than anything. I generally tend to agree with you here. I mean, looking back on doing, I guess, a little bit of MMA math, it's like looking at how Rose did against Hebus this past weekend and kind of thinking about how Fiorot did against Rose. I mean, Rose didn't do all that great against Hebus. It didn't really instill the biggest confidence. That performance against Rose with a broken hand for the majority of that fight was pretty tit for tat, very, very close. So I don't feel great about it. But yeah, it's a dog or pass type of situation for me. Mostly because Blanchfield has struggled to get the takedowns recently. Obviously, over 14 in their last time out. And in this fight, fighting at range against somebody who's at least a better technical striker, she's gonna, be running into some stuff along the way. But yeah, not a fight I feel totally, great or sold on from any stretch of the imagination. And if Blanchfield comes out and gets those takedowns early, well, all bets are off. Like, her grappling is super, super slick. So eventually she's going to put it all together, and she's going to be a big-time problem, as you alluded to, saying that this is probably a future title challenger. Is it right now? I'm going to say no. Moving on down, we've got Vicente Luque taking on Joaquin Buckley. Vicente Luque, a -120 favorite. Buckley can be had for +100. Can Buckley wrestle, or can Luque wrestle here, Cody? Because that seems, coming off of the RDA fight where he got 8 takedowns. If that's part of the game plan here, I feel pretty good about Vicente Luque. Obviously, we know his grappling is super on point. He could hang out and just strike in this fight and still won this fight. The guy's obviously a well-rounded mixed martial artist, but he takes a lot of the danger of this fight away by taking this fight to the mat and, removing Joaquin Buckley from the range, which is, explosive strikes on the feet. If Luque can get some takedowns in this fight, I like him a lot. What about you?
Yeah, I like Luque a lot in this fight too. This is just a problematic pick because we're either gonna look awesome. Vicente Luque wins this fight, in my opinion, 6 or 7 times out of 10. This is a great play, tons of value there. But the times that he loses, he is going to absolutely get folded in spectacular highlight reel fashion, maybe in the first round. And you're going to look like an idiot. You're going to look like an idiot. People are going to be like, man, what a terrible pick. But it wasn't that bad of a pick. You got to run it back 10 times to really know. But they're not going to run it back 10 times. They're going to run it back once. So they're going to run. They won't run it back at all. I don't know what I'm saying here. What I'm trying to get at is it's just like a one shot, one and done. Get the thing on. And you just got to hope that the best version shows up. I know what you're saying with the wrestling from Vicente Luque. He used it in RDA. Prior to that, he hadn't wrestled anybody. So is this a sign of this is an evolving fighter? Is this the new version of Vicente Luque? Lord knows he's been in so many wars, so much damage, that finally against RDA, he decides, I'm going to wrestle. And it's a 5-round fight. And he wrestles for the entirety of it. But for the record, when they were striking, he was getting beat up by RDA, as he normally does in most of his fights. His ability to use that wrestling, it's a new wrinkle to his game, but is it something he plans on using against Buckley? Buckley, I think he can get exploited in the grappling. He's not a great grappler, but he's very physically strong. He's very physically strong at 170 pounds. So you'll look at numerous guys have taken him down. Abdul Razak Al Hassan took him down 3 times. There's been instances, Albert Duraev took him down twice. At 185 pounds, those guys are fighting him at 185. He's losing those fights at 185. Morono got him down once, but for 12 seconds. He hit the mat and he popped right back up. He's a very physically strong guy. So Vicente Luque using that wrestling, hey, if you could take down RDA, control RDA, chances are you can do it with Buckley. But to me, the way he beats Buckley is volume and pace. Buckley is a heavy hitter, and you got to mind your P's and Q's. He's going to look to buzzsaw your head off. But he's very low volume for the most part, waiting on that one big shot. He doesn't got great cardio. A guy that's got volume, a guy that could put hands on him, a guy that could rack up some damage, Buckley's going to start to swell. Buckley's going to start to fade. Vicente Luque, yeah, he's fought in mediocre guys. He's fought in good guys. And he fights to their level. If you're really solid, he fights you solid. If you're a bum, he fights you like a bum. Again, he's a dangerous fighter to get behind. But when you see him get knocked out, when you see somebody put that big bruising on him, it's like the Jeff Neal fight where he absorbs 120 significant strikes before he topples over. People remember the Brian Barberena fight or the Mike Perry fight where it's like the 3rd round, both guys have landed near 100 significant strikes, over 100 significant strikes. The damage is totaled up, right? Buckley's not going to land 100 significant strikes. Maybe he just knocks out Luque in 20, sure. But what I'm saying is if it becomes a war of attrition and Luque is doing what he normally does, which is come forward, work the body, work the legs, put up those numbers, and again, try to play a defensive shell, try to get out of those first 2 rounds, then the fight favors him. The fact that he can mix in a takedown, well, that doesn't hurt. No doubt it doesn't hurt. but the pace and the volume seems to be the path of victory for him that'll likely get him there. For Buckley, again, he's very confident. He's got tons of athleticism, tons of explosiveness, tons of power. If he touches you, it's going to be a problem. But that being said, he goes 15 minutes with Alex Morona. The fight with Andre Filo, he probably lost the first round against Filo before knocking him out in the second round. It wasn't particularly, that entertaining of a fight. The one before that with Chris Curtis, he learned his lesson. He tried to get a fast start. Chris Curtis absorbed the first 50 shots, and then Cole cocked him and knocked him out. Mm-hmm. So what version of Buckley shows up here? Again, he's very much in the same situation. If he's that big explosive guy that comes at Luque, maybe he catches him. But if he tries to lay back and pick and choose and select his shots, maybe he lands a counter. Maybe he doesn't. And if he doesn't, he's getting outworked. He's getting tired. He's losing the decision, or he's getting finished late. So when Luque is a big favorite, ooh, god damn, because he can blow at any point. But when Luque is like even money, yeah, he's the better fighter. He's got the better skill set. He's from the better team. He wins this fight.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. It's just, it's when you're going up against somebody like Buckley, there's always paths for you to look like a complete moron. Round one, Buckley is 100% in play, and if you're really, really passionate about that side, I would not fault any man for taking a shot on it. But it won't be for me. It won't be for Cody this week. We move on. We've got Bruno Silva taking on Chris Weidman, minus 260 for Bruno Silva. Chris Weidman can be had for plus 220. What a strange fight. And I mean, Bruno Silva has lost 4 of his last 5. Volume's never really there in any of his fights. I mean, the wins, I guess knocking out Brad Tavares, that's a decent looking look, but like Jordan Wright, Andrew Sanchez, and like Sanchez has taken him down 7 times. Wellington Turman, these are not, top end wins in the organization. He's definitely been a flopper, a mistake maker in plenty of his fights. And the fight that like everyone gives him the most credit for would be, taking down Alex Pereira and Alex Pereira's UFC debut twice, being relatively competitive on the feet against him. That's kind of the fight that I feel like people give him the most credit for out of anything on his UFC record. Weidman, on the other hand, I mean, there's Cooked. And then there's like Chris Weidman. Like this, it's so like there's, me, I love betting underdogs, but it's just like trying to find a reason to put money behind Chris Weidman, who frankly hasn't looked. When's the last time he looked good? 2017 against Kelvin Gastelum. His knees are in shambles. Like everything about him is broken. Last time out, coming in against Brad Tavares, like there was just no volume, there was no urgency, there was no anything going on there. Like they gave him kind of a good welcome back type of. I mean, I guess Brad Tavares is hard to take down, so that was obviously part of the puzzle, I suppose, for him. But old school Chris Weidman would be able to at least win that fight on the feet if he wasn't able to get takedowns against Brad Tavares, and that guy seems kind of gone. I guess I'll pick Bruno Silva, but I don't really have much intention of betting this fight because everything in my being wants to back. Like, I really don't want to back Bruno Silva as a minus 260 favorite, really against many people on the UFC roster. But Weidman seems like beyond dead at this point. So what do you have here?
Yeah, I don't get much. It's like Weidman, he's all the way done. So what's the point of parading him back out? Like, what's the angle? Like, what am I missing? Well, why hasn't a coach or a family member or Dana or anybody stepped in to just be like, hey, man, like, it's over. But they're parading him on. And for the record, like, guy breaks his leg, former champion, the highest of the highs, the lowest of the lows. When he came back against... lose Dominic Reyes, he took off almost a full year. Came back and looked awful, but beat on Mario Akhmedov. Gassed out. Wrestling looked spotty. Grappling looked spotty. Was not the Chris Weidman you remembered, but at least he won. Last time he won, which was 4 years ago. Then he fought Uriah Hall, again, not quite a year off. Then he fights Brad Tavares, 2.5-year-long layoff. So Weidman backers would argue, hey, you know what? He'd been off a long time. He was rusty, and he'll look better this time around. But to me, it was like, he done. And the UFC offers him Brad Tavares, who's a tenured guy with the UFC. He's been with the organization for 10 years. He's been around the block a few times. It's a proper matchup to match him up against. And I'll be honest, I bet Chris Weidman. Even though he's been off for 2.5 years, he's the great Chris Weidman with the back class, the former world champion, a guy that's hung. Yeah, he tried 205, it didn't work out. He's back to 185. He's healed up. He took the time off. And then, like you're saying, Paul, he's super gun shy. I think he broke his leg or something in the first round, hurts his knee. Then he's just a sitting duck. And Brad Tavares has so much respect for him. He just at no point tries to put the kill shot on him. For the record, Brad Tavares has got 2 knockout wins in the UFC in 25 fights. So he's really not a knockout kind of guy. But he could have finished Chris Weidman had he chosen to. Instead, he just pot shots away at him, lets the old man survive. But at that point, you'd have a 38-year-old Chris Weidman who's clearly got a reoccurring injury, not the same guy he used to be, hasn't won a fight in 4 years, hasn't looked good in 6 years, tried to go up to 205 because obviously his body is not loving these weight cuts. Now he's 39 years old. None of this bodes well. And for the UFC, it's not like, let's bring him back and give him Abu Azatar. Or just a bottom level 185 pounder. Somebody who's not good. Let him work his way back up. No. Brad Tavares was a tough enough fight. Brad Tavares lasted all of 4 minutes against Bruno Silva before getting knocked out. You know what I mean? They didn't give him an easier fight. They give him Bruno Silva, who's a madman. Yeah, untrustworthy. So like you're saying, minus 260, that would be the biggest problem with backing Bruno Silva. Even though he's fighting a shot to bits, dead to rights, Chris Weidman, doesn't got great takedown defense, and he's got a nagging issue with just sticking his neck into submission. So a guy with a BJJ black belt and accredited history and trains at Weidman or Sarah Longo over in New York, some of the best guys in the sport. Yeah, one would consider that he is probably live for a submission prop, anything. But if this remains a striking battle, which I think it's going to be, I think he just gets chopped to bits, man. What was considered good wrestling 10 years ago isn't good wrestling anymore. Which was considered high-level BJJ at 185 pounds 10 years ago isn't high-level BJJ anymore. Chris Weidman's effectively done. He was 10 years past the prime of his life, and with all of these injuries, who knows? But again, I don't know if... I wouldn't say it's a money thing. I'm not saying he's taking the fight because he needs the money. It's nothing like that. It's like a pride thing. He wants to go out on a win. He wants to go out on a high note. And the UFC should give him a winnable fight, slap him on the ass, send him on his way. Nah, instead of giving Bruno Silva. So you got to go Bruno. Bruno puts hands on him. Bruno actually can go 15 minutes. Yeah, he gasses from time to time like the Gerald Mearshart fight. But outside of that, like Paul mentioned, went 15 against Alex Pereira, was competitive over the course of that. And whereas Brad showed Weidman a lot of respect, Bruno is out of Evolution Thai, and he will show him no mercy, and he will not come out cold if he is given the opportunity. 100%. There will not be a second thought in his mind. So yeah, I think something just hurts Weidman early, whether it be a leg kick that just demobilizes him again, hobbles him up, whether it be an overhand right that just crashes in on him. His jab's not fast enough. He's probably not wanting to throw any kicks because he shattered his own leg one time. He's not nearly as quick as he used to be. His reflexes are gone. His ability to take a punch is probably still okay, but the ref knows, hey, this is a near 40-year-old Chris Weidman that's beat up, so they're going to stop it early if he starts to take damage. Like, none of this screams, I want to take the underdog shot, and so for that reason, deservedly so, I got to go with the favorite, Bruno Silva, to get the job done.
We got Nursulton Ruziboev taking on Sedriques Dumas. Nursulton Ruziboev is a minus 250 favorite. Sedriques Dumas can be had 4 plus 210. Who you got?
So Sedriques Dumas can win this fight. This is a winnable fight for him. Like, the line is pretty big on Ruziboev. I wouldn't outright say that Dumas should be written off. The thing is that Dumas is very much a dumbass. And not only does he make poor choices in the octagon, he makes a lot of poor choices outside of the octagon. So in 2022, he got arrested punching a chick outside of a bar. He got charged with it anyways. The UFC, man, they decided to look the other way, signed him still. And then 6 weeks ago, he got arrested on, wasn't a domestic battery. It was just a straight battery for apparently, like, going to his ex-girlfriend's house and banging on the door and trying to force his way in. So, in Florida.
Florida man.
He doesn't make great life choices. He's not a good life choice kind of guy. And he doesn't make, even though he is a live underdog, he's way quicker. He's got solid athleticism. I think this is going to be a greasy fight that goes into the second, maybe, dare I say, maybe go into the third round. And he could win that war of attrition. There is passive victories for him. It's just backing him with my dollar is increasingly difficult because of just how dumb he is. So, skilled or not, Paul, I don't know. But let's actually talk about the matchup for what it is, right? So Ruziboev is a killer. Ruziboev is better than Dumas in every aspect of MMA, starting with the skill side of it, like the striking. He's way faster. He's got bigger power. He's got better technique. He's got better kicks, better punches, just better timing, better in the pocket, better at range. Maybe not better at range because he's not quite as long, but all the same, he's just a versatile, much better striker. On the ground, he's solid. Better wrestling, better jiu-jitsu, better submission game, better positional awareness, all good. The problem is that he is a murderous first-round finisher, right? He has finished his last, the entirety of his win streak. He's finished his last 9 fights inside of the first round. And he's taking some layoffs in between. He'll come back. Maybe he's rusty. Nah, he just ices a guy in the first round. Makes his debut against Bruno Ferreira. Tough fight, but it's the type of fight where Bruno's going to engage you and you may be able to knock him out in the first round, which he does. Minute 17. We all know how good Ruziboev can be. But when you look back at that 9-fight winning streak, all first-round knockouts, the 10th fight, the loss, decision, and you watch it back against basically what would be considered a journeyman type opponent, he just gasses. Like, everything he does is big. You watch his highlight reel, people will put videos together of just the finishing sequences. Like, this guy's a murderer early. The longer these fight goes, because he's kind of overexerting himself, he's on the table to tire out. Now, Dumas doesn't have great cardio himself, but his last 2 fights have gone to decision. He can make it the 15 minutes. He's a long opponent. But yeah, honestly, when you look at tape on Dumas and you see how slow he is and just like his counters aren't, honestly, Ruziboev is so much better than the guy. It's just that nagging suspicion that if he puts a beating on him in the first but doesn't quite take him out of there, the second and the third round are going to get increasingly difficult. And how many times have we been burned in the last couple months on these fights that we're winning the first round? We win the first round, the guy just falls off a cliff, right? So it's hard to predict. It's hard to prepare for. I'm hoping Ruziboev is ready, but because he hasn't had to fight into that second round officially in a very long time, there's a huge concern there. And when they slap you with a minus 260 type price tag, you're just assuming he can do it. Now, the reason why we'll lock it in, we will go Ruziboev. Do like the guy, don't get me wrong, much better fighter. It's just we got to put that concern aside. The reason why we will do it is he hasn't been finished in 8 years. In fact, he's only been finished twice overall in his career. Like, putting him away is very problematic. His last 3-4 losses, yeah, he's lost the fight, but they're by decision. So he would have to gas and then still lose rounds 2 and 3. Whereas Dumas barely beat Abu Azitar, who's absolutely dreadful, and just a super low output fight. So I think Ruziboev could win the first round, win parts of the second round, flat gas, not get finished. Guy's durable as hell. Win the fight still. But at minus 260, that's not how I want to win it. At minus 260, I want to take him out in the first. I just don't know if we get there. I hope we do. Don't know if we get there, but Ruziboev is the play.
So what you're saying is draw plus 8,000. Lock it in.
Is on the table. That
it's definitely on the
10-8 first round and drop the next 2, or he could win the first 2 and get 10-8 in the third because he's gassed out. That draw is actually on the play because of the circumstance of how this fight could play out. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, 80-1 is always insane for any sort of MMA bet, but a little sprinkle wouldn't be the craziest thing pre-flop. Ruziboev is a scary, scary dude, and I think a lot of those fights from 2019, I'm not sure of when he started training over here stateside, because he trains in Philly for pretty much all of his camps these days. I don't know. They've got this guy. They've turned this guy into an assassin. He is scary, and he's enormous. And I don't know, Dumas, obviously he's got those issues outside, but it's you see Instagram posts of him smoking cigars and so on and so forth. He's making some pretty poor decisions. Whereas when you see Ruziboev's Instagram, it's he's on a stationary bike, pounding out 50K, So I don't know. Obviously, what people show on Instagram is not entirely the truth one way or the other, but it seems like one guy is focused on, I've got to be the best I can be, and the other guy is I can make money fighting right now, and does he actually have the same? Like, I'm picking Ruziboev to win the fight here. Wouldn't be crazy if, like, after round 1, if they get into round 2, you start thinking about, like, buying out some risk on Dumas live, because you probably have a much better line than even the plus 210 that's available right now. But I think this Ruziboev guy is going to starch a bunch of guys until they put him up against someone half decent. And I don't know. Like, yeah. I backed Dumas against Brundage as a big underdog. Like, I backed him in some other spots, but I don't know. This Ruziboev guy scares the hell out of me. He's a monster.
Yeah, I would say the UFC has signed guys in the past that had a bit of a spotty, criminal record. But as soon as they had like another run-in with the law, almost instantly, they were almost always cut. And even guys like Johnny Case or what's his name, Tony Rocco Martin, and those guys, it's like, you have a bad run-in, it's bad for the rap, you're gone, right? In Dumas's case, he already had kind of a bad rap, and then to get one again 6 weeks ago, even though there's probably circumstances and it wasn't really his fault, and the UFC investigated and decided not to, I was surprised they didn't cut him. And this is basically their version of be like, play for your freedom. You can fight Ruziboev as a punishment. We won't cut you, but you're fighting Ruziboev, whether you're in shape or not. You're going to take this matchup with him. You can't say no, because then you're almost certainly getting cut, especially with Contender Series just around the corner. Yeah, he's on a 2-fight winning streak, but he's got a bad spotty criminal history, and his fights aren't particularly all that entertaining. So I could see them dumping him if need be. Instead, they need someone for Ruziboev, throw him in there. This is the punishment. And if he shines and he wins, he deserves to be on the roster. Plain and simple, right? That would be a quality victory for him.
Yeah, I mean, this is not exactly brand new for the UFC. What they had, like, Des Green was fighting while he was fighting, like, vehicular homicide charges and stuff. Like, he had fought a couple times in the octagon. Like, turns out lots of professional fighters, the reason why you get into the pain business like this, not necessarily because you're a nice guy and make good decisions outside of the cage. Tends to be a bit of a trend. Not always. You get your George St. Pierre's, you get your Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnsons, you get, there's plenty of great guys, but there's also a bunch of, tough guys that
Phil Baroni.
You probably wouldn't want to. Yeah, Phil Baroni. Great. I wouldn't really want to run into Phil Baroni in a dark alley. Like,
dude, that guy used to be a lady killer back in his day, and then now it's like he's a lady killer. He's doing 25 years in a Mexican prison. Like, times are tough for the old prize fighter, Paul Shaughnessy.
100%. All right, we got Bill Algeo taking on Kyle Nelson. Bill Algeo is a minus 230 favorite. Kyle Nelson could be had for plus 200. Who you got here, buddy?
Yeah, so Kyle Nelson's proven that you don't want to be betting these big favorites against him. Like, got to give him some respect. He is a dog. He comes forward. He's got powers. He's got a power advantage over Bill Algeo. And yeah, he seems serviceable enough. There was a time in his career, maybe he was fatiguing a little bit. He was good for that good first round, maybe 6, maybe 7 minutes. But then the wheels would start to fall off. But he takes his strength and conditioning very seriously. He always shows up in extremely good shape, makes weight like a professional. And his last number of fights, they're becoming wars of attrition. And he's the one that's pulling away in those fights, right? 2-fight winning streak. Prior to that, the Duho Choi fight is a draw, right? And it's a quality fight. Duho Choi was supposed to be the supreme Korean prospect, has a legitimate skill set. But Nelson proved that, yeah, he's a bit of a dog. He comes forward, he makes it tough for you, makes it greasy for you. And he was a huge underdog in that fight, settles for a draw. In a fight that he could have actually been awarded the victory, but it's a draw. The fight with Blake Builder, again, he's the underdog, but he's the one stuffing all the takedowns. Coming forward, muscling around Blake Builder, picking up the decision. Next time out, Fernando Padilla, underdog play again, does much of the same. Now, Padilla, that's a quality victory. Padilla's shown, especially coming off that big win over Puenuelos last weekend, that, yeah, made me look bad, but just absolutely diced him, looked like a solid performance. And then going back, he said, geez, that Kyle Nelson loss had taught him, like, I got to get off more. I got to get going, because Nelson's a guy that can slow the pace down, slow it down. He's not necessarily taking you down. In fact, he's scoring very few takedowns. What he's able to do is grind you up against that cage and just slow the pace down, work you up against the cage. Now, all of a sudden, there's only 2 minutes left in the round. Not much has happened. There's a separation. They separate. He lands a big right hook. He lands a big leg kick, 2 big shots real quick, and then that's all that happened for the round. They're close rounds. He landed a little bit more. He can win out those rounds. So Again, whenever you're betting a big favorite against him, just beware that the fight's probably going 15 minutes. It's probably going to go to decision. And there's going to be spots in these rounds where it's just grinded down to a lull, and he might be in the advantageous position. You need the judges to get it right. Good thing for us is that we got Bill Algeo, who just never stops working. Never stops working. That would be the key to beating Kyle Nelson, is that he's been outworking his last number of opponents. He put the hurt on Choi. He put that pace on Builder. He put his pace on his last time out against Fernando Padilla, just outworking him, using a veteran craft, so to speak. But against Bill Algeo, I mean, Bill's been in there with stronger guys physically. He's been in there with more experienced guys. He's been in there with heavier hitters, and he finds a way. He's got tons of pace. You look at this run he's on. Spike Carlisle is extremely physically strong. Extremely physically strong. Bill gets taken down 4 times. He gets largely controlled, but he always works his way back out. BJJ black belt. Wrestled in high school. It's not like he completely does not know how to wrestle. It's that he has a bit of a slender build. So has leverage all days. Good at hitting switches, good at getting back up to his feet. But for the most part, he will surrender takedowns to these more powerful guys. Did against Carlisle, comes back to outwork him. Joanderson Brito. Who's stronger in the division than Joanderson Brito? The guy's all physicality. And yeah, Bill gets muscled down twice. Gets back up, makes some work, gets the win. Yeah, I think for the most part, it's like Bill is more of a complete fighter. He has solid grappling. He has very solid volume. He's got cardio for days. And knocking him out, good luck. He's got a cast iron chin. His losses in the UFC, all by decision, all fights that he was pretty competitive in. So big favorite, but at the same time, yeah. If you want to juice it up, you probably go Bill by decision. You probably hit the over 2.5 in this fight. If Nelson's going to win, I wouldn't necessarily say he has to knock him out. Like, he needs to muscle him down the way Ricardo Ramos did, score a bunch of takedowns, let's say. But I just don't see, he's not that guy. He's not a guy that's going to rack up 10 takedowns in a fight and hold you down for the majority of the fight. He's looking to fight. He's looking to scrap. Bill's faster, quicker from the outside. Bill's craftier, puts up the volume, puts up the submission attempts if need be. Yeah, I got Bill. We're going to have to take some shots on some of these guys, and who do we like this week? And Bill would be in the category of guys that I'd be looking to play and have some faith in.
Yeah, this fight, I mean, it reminds me of another Bill, Billy Quarantillo, whereas, in fairness and credit where credit's due, Kyle Nelson has really stepped up. Like, his cardio seems a lot better. His durability seems a lot better than, like, those were things that we were, like, kind of targeting for a bit, but he seems to have changed his style up a little bit, improved his defense, improved his cardio. Like, he's definitely not falling off of a cliff. Like the Diego Ferreira fight, where it's like he came out super, super hard and then immediately just fell off of a cliff. It's like, that's not really showing itself in the same way anymore. It's like he's shown that, like, he can...
Yeah.
He
took that fight on a week's
except
notice,
Duho
couple
Choi
weight
was a little bit different, but like a lot of these other fights, like he's been showing that, like, he can go the full 15 minutes and do it over and over and over again. Like when he first broke into the UFC, it seemed like kind of a general trend to attack. But yeah, I kind of look at this as like very, very similar to the Quarantillo fight, where Kyle Nelson may have some successes early, land some heavier strikes, but Bill Algeo will, just be able to put a pace that even Kyle Nelson at his best, which is like last fight out, he put 82 significant strikes up. It's like Bill Algeo, 150 significant strikes are on the table for him. He's very, very quick in and out of the pocket and keeps super, super busy. I don't think Kyle Nelson can keep that pace. So, we'll see. Like maybe a Bill Algeo round 3 prop could be in play. It's like 12-1 out there. Don't hate that. But yeah, the most likely outcome is obviously Bill by decision. But I wouldn't be shocked if Bill is able to get him out of there super late in the fight either. Moving on down, we've got Chidi and Njokuani taking on Rhys Mckee. Chidi is a -145 favorite. Rhys Mckee can be had for +125. I'm just going to say, if you hear any sniffles or anything, I got a little bit of, changing of the weather bug here, so I'll try not to breathe into the camera. But Cody, who do you got on this one?
Okay, there, cocaine, Paul. I'm gonna take a dog shot here and go with Rhys Mckee. Chidi and Njokuani, this is a strange fight. This is a strange fight. You might want to wait until weigh-ins to lock in, but I got a nagging suspicion the line's gonna start swinging more towards Mckee, and you might not get a whole lot of dog money on him. But Uh, so Chidi's in a weird spot, right? Chidi's 35 years old, a guy that went through the Bellator circuit, was losing fights in Bellator, probably shouldn't have even been signed to the UFC, gets on the Contender Series, wins one, signed, goes on a little run, quick 2-fight winning streak, and now he's plummeting. Again, at 35, I don't see Chidi improving a whole lot. He's got a career of cardio problems. He's had a career history of wrestling problems, and I know he's a BJJ black belt now, and I know that, you know, he's shown some glimpses here and there of maybe some better cardio, and certainly improved cardio, knocks out Barrio, you know, he's always got that Muay Thai, he's always that threat, but he's very much regressing to me. Look at the fights against Gregory Rodriguez, again, decent start, you know, he's landing shots, he's looking good, he has that striking. It's just the longer these fights go, if you present any type of resistance, if you start to land shots back, he shells up. When he shells up, punches get through. When punches get through, he doesn't respond all that well. Gregory Rodriguez kind of freezes him up, knocks him out. Albert Duraev, he uses his wrestling. That's a really greasy fight, pretty slow pace. There's an argument that Chidi probably could have won that fight, but again, he's so tired, he can't do anything about it. He can't get off the cage. He can't let his strikes go. He's just, you know, he's in counter wrestling mode the whole time. He's stuck in a lull. And then his last time out against, you know, Lord Mikhail Oleksichuk, yeah, that's a tough go for a lot of people. And sure enough, he does get knocked out in the first round. Here's what's strange to me, right? Chidi Njokuani is 6'3", okay? Got an 80-inch reach. Those fights against Lord Mikhail, Albert Duraev, Gregory Rodriguez, Dusko Todorovic, Marc-Andre Barrio, Mario Souza, they're all at 185 pounds. Last time this guy tried to make, in fact, he missed one time against Bellator, made 189 against Rafael Carvalho. I'm trying to look back when the last time he made 170 pounds flat. Okay, 170 was this Thiago Goncalves 2016, and against Andre Fiallo, it was a catch weight because he came in at 174.8. So this is 2016 range, okay? And you can go look up stuff from that 2016 range where he talks about, I ain't ever going to 170 again because it damn near killed me. Not his exact words, but go check it out. He's very adamant, can't make it. He's 6'3" with an 80-inch reach. He is 100% the dude's 185 pounder. If he was fighting in Bellator or PFL or a lesser organization, he's a 185 pounder. Because he's on a 3-fight losing streak, his walking slip is about to come with a loss here. Mm-hmm. That would put him at 2-4 in the UFC on a 4-fight losing streak. 35 years old, not a good look. Contender Series again, it's just around the corner. These prospects are going to be looking to take your roster spot. It's his last go at it, so he decides, I won't drop the F-bomb, but I was about to. Producer Megan, you know, just be extra work. Goddamn, being on TV is not as chalked up as you think it is. Dropping F-bomb is as chalked up as it's supposed to be. But anyways, doesn't matter. All I'm getting at is that this is his last go-around, and he knows it, and I think he's trying to put his best foot forward and make 170 pounds, but it's going to absolutely torch his body. He's not known to have cardio to begin with. Is he looking for something that's just not quite there because he doesn't know what else to fix? And I just, like, you hate to see it, but that's the situation he's in. So running into a spot against Rhys Mckee as the favorite, I would not be interested in betting him dropping down 15 pounds at 35 years old, hasn't made the weight since 2016. Come on, man. That was 8 years ago. Tempting. Okay, now here's the second thing, right? Because it's not just about some bad weight cut. That's not all it is that Chidi Njokuani is not, we'll just go back to what we see from Contender Series onwards, but against Mario Souza, he dominates him on the ground, but he had dropped him, where he you know, the fight would end up on the ground. Didn't score any takedowns. Went 0 for 1 with takedowns. Marc-Andre Barrio shot 0. Knocked him out quick. Dusko Todorovic, he also knocked him out quick, but he shot 0 takedowns. Against Gregory Rodriguez, he shot 0 takedowns. Against Albert Duraev, of course, he would have shot 0. And against Mikhail, his last time out, he shot 2, got 0. So he's shot 3 takedowns, I suppose, in his, like, you know, UFC Contender Series tenure. He's gone 0 for 3. With his 6'3" build, he's not getting under for these blast doubles. He'd have like a little Muay Thai foot sweep, right? But is that how you're going to get your opponent down, you know, consistently? Probably not. Outside of that, he's not really shown any type of offensive wrestling. So he's probably going to look to bang it out with Mckee. And for all of Mckee's faults, when he bangs it out with guys, he has tons of success. Like, yeah, he's losing fights, but he was somewhat competitive with Chimaev in the sense that it took 3 minutes and 9 seconds of him getting drubbed before they stopped it. Impressive enough to me, considering the level of where he's at right now. The Alex Morono fight, he gave up 3 takedowns. Morono didn't particularly want to stand with him, and Morono put a beating on him. But the kid's got solid cardio. He's got an excellent engine, keeps going, keeps ticking, can throw down. He got a hell of a chin on him as well. Did land 124 significant strikes in a loss. And then his last time against Angelusa, it's much of the same. Like, he lands 77 significant strikes while giving up 6 takedowns. So most of the fight he's spending on his back. Most of the fight he's spending with his opponent trying to peel him to the ground, and yet he's still able to create space, create pockets, and land volume. Chidi's not going to score 6 takedowns. It's not going to happen.
No.
It's not going to happen. He's not even going to score 3 takedowns. Not going to happen. So he's going to have to strike with Mckee, which is what nobody else has been doing, for the record. Quite literally, none of these other guys have been willing to stand with him for the entirety of the fight. And that might be what he gets here. And because he has pace, and he has pressure, and he has the ability to throw up 100 significant strikes plus, he's just going to wear the shit out of coming off a bad weight cut, Chidi bang bang Njokuani, right? It's inevitable. So Chidi needs to chin check this guy the way he did at Barrio. Barrio's cast iron. Barrio's a middleweight. Did it to him. But if he don't do it, Mckee is just going to straight up outwork him. Last but not least, it's like, oh, damn, Chidi's 6'3" at 170 pounds. Mckee's 6'2". Like, he can actually match a lot of that physicality. So the fact that the kid can take a hell of a punch, even they'll say, oh, Chimaev knocked him out. Chimaev didn't knock him out. He was stuck, and the ref was like, I'm just going to stop it now because you're getting your head beat in. But, yeah, man, I think he takes that early damage from Chidi, rolls through with it, comes forward, pressures him, puts a pace on him, starts to land his own strikes, slowly breaks him over time. I don't think this thing gets to decision, to be honest with you. But why get greedy? If you can already get plus money on Rhys Mckee, just take Rhys Mckee. If you're looking to get a little saucy with it, Mckee probably TKOs him in the later stages. If you're looking to get really saucy with it, then yeah, like Paul's third round looks good. Second round might happen, but third round TKO kind of stuff like that. If you're looking to get real crazy, it's on the table. Main thing is some dogs are going to come through on this card. I think Rhys Mckee is one of them.
Round 3 for Mckee, it's plus 1,400.
Oh, twist my arm, Paul. Twist my arm. That's a pretty good price, to be honest.
It's written down. Here's my biggest concern with what's going to happen here is that Chidi's going to miss weight, but he's going to miss weight by too much weight. And then this fight's just going to be scrapped. So it's just going to be a waste of money. But yeah, a lot of the things that you say make sense there. That's the thing. It's like, if it's a Rhys Mckee fight, I'm usually looking at it going like, can his opponent wrestle in any way, shape, or form? Chidi does not check that box. Like, everyone takes him down, and for good reason, because the guy is super, super long, 78-inch reach. He's obviously 6'2". And he has crazy, crazy volume and cardio. So it's like he presents a lot of problems at that range. Chidi, obviously, Chidi bang bang being the nickname, he can put anybody out of there with the perfectly landed strike. But if that doesn't happen, and you bring up all these points of cutting down to 170 and so on and so forth, yeah, Mckee round 3. I've done stupider things with a sprinkle bet than that. So that is definitely getting some of my money, Cody Saftik. We move on down. We've got Jamall Emmers taking on Nate Landwehr. Your boy Nasty Nate is a plus 180 underdog. Jamall Emmers can be half of minus 220 as the favorite. Who you got?
Yeah, I want to bet Nate. Like, obviously, he's my guy. Junkyard dog, fight for your dollar, plus money. Like, it checks all the boxes. But, like, I'll be honest with you, is that at 145 pounds, it's such an unforgiving weight class. And my worry with Nate, now 35 years old, is he probably left his best days behind him in Russia. And what I mean by that is, when this dude was fighting in Russia, he beats 13-2 Mikhail Korobov, right? Then he beats Viktor Kolesnik, very next fight, 14-3. These guys are all badasses. These guys are all badasses that, had they been able to secure visas to enter the North America and fight in North American promotions, they'd be dominated. They can't. Nate Landwehr goes over to Russia from Clarksville, Tennessee, and puts a beating on those asses. 2 straight. Kazmat Dalgiev, 10-1, knocks him out. Andrei Leshiev, 21-8, knocks him out. Rematch with Kolesnik, because apparently old boy wanted a second go-around. And these are for the M1 Featherweight Championship, fighting the best unsigned talent in Russia. And he beats him again. The guy's the man. Comes to the UFC, and he's just so Nate the Train, baby, cuts the best promo, amped up, woo, runs headfirst into Herbert Burns' knee to the face, gets himself knocked out. I still to this day will not admit that Herbert Burns knocked out Nate Landwehr. Didn't happen. Nate Landwehr knocked himself out by running his own face straight into that knee because he was just way too reckless. Since then, it's just more damage. Darren Elkins, the fight was just a dog fight of epic proportions. Argument, maybe he lost that fight, but he didn't. He beats Elkins. His fight with Julian Erosa, a flying knee to the face, 56 seconds in. So now this legendary durability has now twice been cracked, both times by crazy knees to the face. But at the same time, Nate the Train used to get away on just being so rugged, so aggressive, so durable. If the durability is not quite there, it makes you wonder. That wonder made him that big underdog against David Onama. It made James Krause and crew put $2 million on David Onama. It made James Krause basically lose his career because after that he got chased, and we all know the story. But it was like, damn, don't want to mess with Nate Landwehr. That's at the top of his game still. There's still some magic left. So 2 fights subsequent. Against Austin Lingo, he wins by second round rear naked choke. If you watch the first round, he's stiff. Like, that explosiveness. The guy used to be a college track star. Like, he could have, if you look at his times, like for the, I think it's like the 20 meter and the 40 meter dash, like he's like an explosive, talented athlete. Solid guy. Now you see him a little more stiff, a little more rigid, a little slower in there. Austin Lingo is doing very well till he tires out. Nate Landwehr takes over. Next fight, Dan Ige, not a guy to tire out. Nate comes forward. Nate does his best. But to me, you're seeing some regression. And I'm a giant fan of his, right? Because he always comes and he always delivers the entertainment and he always fights for your dollar and he always junkyard dogs. There's a price to pay for that. The price being his health and his durability. And I'm not saying he's shot. I'm saying the writing's on the wall where these next couple fights are not going to get no easier. The thing with Emmers is that on paper, he's 34 years old, only a year younger. And he's actually got more pro fights than Nate Landwehr. But he's not had the mileage of Nate the Train. And so Emmers is just a lot quicker. He's a lot slicker. His wrestling, again, it's going to be good enough that if he wants to take Landwehr down, I think he can. Landwehr, meanwhile, he's not going to take Jamall Emmers down. He could come forward and try to make it rugged. But if you look at Emmers' footwork, he's a solid athlete. 34 years old, sure, but he ain't slowing down that much. He moves extremely well laterally. The interesting thing to me would be that Emmers missed weight his last time out, come in at 147, and then blasts Dennis Buzukja, who we'll talk about a little bit later, in less than a minute. It was a great performance, but he did miss weight. Again, at 34, in a career of hard weight cuts, if he has a bad weight cut and he makes weight this time because he's in the bad books, or even he misses weight this time and it's a bad cut and he slows down, suddenly that speed and that mobility from the outside are gone, then yeah, now you're fighting at Nate the Train's level. And if you are, then yeah, Landwehr becomes live. Live bet, perhaps, if Emmers has a bad weight cut and falls apart. But if he doesn't, man, I just think he's too slick from the outside. And just 2 fights back against Jack Jenkins, he loses a split. Probably, could have been awarded that split decision, Paul. But Jenkins is similar to a Nate Landwehr. He's just rugged. He's tough. He comes forward. He tries to mix it up with you. But, it's mostly just try to put hands on a guy and club them more than setting up traps, looking to counter, making the smart moves. So, there's been times in Emmers' career, like the Gitchkotz fight, where he still could have won that. But why not wrestle more? Why not do something a little bit different? Like, what he has made bonehead decisions. Why play footsies with Pat Sabatini? He has made some questionable, decisions in the octagon in the past. But when you look at speed and striking and the length, and I just think that he just kind of matadors him and takes him down in between. So I'm a huge Nate fan, and if Nate wins, I'd be happy. But I think the best case for me in this instance is to bet against him, and it would suck if I lost money, but it would be like, oh, Nate won. There's a little something there. And if Nate loses, I'm going to be like, oh, Nate lost, but I made some money. At least in both instances, there is a happy ending. But in order to do so, I need to bet against my boy. So got to go with Jamall Emmers this time.
Let's do a shoey bet. 2-1 though.
Okay.
Give me 2-1.
2-1.
I get Nate the Train. Because
I just did a dirty shoey and I just did a dirty shoey and we talked about picking our spots and not doing this and that. Normally I would say no. But because you're willing to step up in my lack of manhood and bet my boy Nate the Train for me, you got to do some goddamn deal. We got a 2-1 shoey bet, Paul.
Here's kind of how I look at it. One, who had all of the athletic, the reach, the speed, all of those advantages over Nate the Train?
David Onama.
But you know what he didn't have? The dog in him that Nate the Train does. And, you know, there's the chest skelly, back spasms, doesn't come out to the fight. You look through the winning fights for Jamall Emmers, Buzukja, we'll talk about later. It's like, Hussein Ashkabov, I couldn't tell you who that guy is. And, like, I watch every single one of these cards. And who else do we have? Vince Cachero. Those are his 3 wins inside the octagon, Cody. He's a minus 220 favorite.
He should have. If he got the Jenkins fight, would you feel differently about it? 3-fight winning streak, solid victory. Had he been given
Jenkins
the
would have been a
Giga
solid
Chikot's-
one.
Had he been
Jenkins would have
given
been
the
solid.
Giga Chikot's fight, which he should have, still almost won that fight and did everything wrong, and still almost won. Giga
That's true.
solid. It's just Emmers is super talented. Is that he doesn't make great decisions. His record could look way better. He'd be a bigger favorite. It's that, yeah.
And when
Nate,
he's not
Nate could outdog him. You're not wrong, but god damn, if we're going with skill here, then I feel like Emmers gets it done.
and basically when he's not fighting people that he's way in a class above, he tends to have really, really close fights. If it ends up being a really close fight, I want the plus 180 dog.
Keep your eye on Wayne's too, because again, coming off a weight miss, right? By 1 pound, not
100%.
good.
100%. And Chewy bet. Double. 2-1 Chewy bet.
Oh,
You're going to
all
be
right, let's do it, baby.
real
Let's do it.
sour. You're going to need 2 of those sour IPAs or whatever the hell it was that you were drinking. You're going to be feeling super sour for Nate the Train.
That would now I have a worst case scenario. Before I was avoiding it, I had positive outcomes in both. Now I have a worst case. I'd lose my money. I went against my boy, and Paul supported him and got a dirty 2-1 shoey bet on me. So I'm over-invested. I didn't even mean to be over-invested in this fight, and now I'm too invested. But this is the way she sometimes goes, so I got to get her back.
That is how she goes sometimes. All right, we got Lupe Godinez taking on Virna Jandiroba. Minus 200 for Godinez, plus 170 for Jandiroba. I'll break this one down really, really quickly. Here's how I kind of see this one shaking out. Like, it really comes down to one of those things that it's like, I don't really know if I can forecast how the wrestling exchanges between the two of these women are going to look like pre-flop. I don't really know if Virna's going to be able to get takedowns on Lupe. I don't think Lupe's going to go too far out of her way to go down into that realm against Virna whatsoever. So I feel like all things equal, if this fight turns into a standing affair and we go, 15 minutes, which I mean, the over 2.5 is minus 300. I feel what ends up happening is Lupe just doubles her up on volume. Lupe by decision is how I kind of see this one shaking out. My problem with Virna, I've backed her in some other spots, is that if she's not getting takedowns, if she's not controlling positions on the mat, she just doesn't throw nearly enough with her hands on the feet to sway any sort of judges whatsoever. So that's where I'm at on this one. What about you, buddy?
Yeah, pretty much in the same position. So when you talk about fighters that are super talented and could have more wins possibly than they currently do because of bad decisions, Lupe is kind of in the same category. She's got all the skills for the division. She's one of the better wrestlers, solid pressure, solid cardio, awesome durability, obviously Mexican heritage, Mexican fighter. You know how we love to roll on this show. The bottom line is she can box, she can wrestle, she's got cardio, she's got durability. So how does she lose these fights? Her fight with Jessica Penne, she just got backpacked a few times. That was it. Just lost a positional battle on a few occasions. Took her down 3-1. Outstruck her 40-31, but it's the positional battles. Her loss to Luana Carolina, just unwilling to switch off to anything other than a body lock takedown, single leg takedown. You need to work high. You need to, I don't know. She got so caught up in the, I'm going to run up against the cage and do the same thing over and over. But she learns from it. The loss to Angela Hill, didn't wrestle at all. I don't know why you would fight Angela Hill and not utilize an offensive wrestling advantage. Why would you not utilize it? But still outstruck her, just fought her the wrong way. But since then, 4-fight winning streak, you can see that obviously she's a smart fighter. Obviously, the experience is starting to help. She's making a lot better decisions, and she's super versatile for the division. She's pretty much, if she's not outright better than you in one category, she's definitely better than you in the second category. She's not a better striker than you outright. She's a better wrestler than you. If she's not a better wrestler than you, she's a better striker than you. And her ability to kind of fluctuate between what she wants to do fight to fight, that's what makes her interesting And that's what's led to this 4-fight winning streak. Virna Jandiroba is stuck in, I'm just an excellent grappler. She can wrestle, don't get me wrong, very physically strong, but she's starting to get a little bit older. She relies heavily on the same single leg technique, the same one muscle down takedown. And once she sets up shop on you, she's got excellent top game. Again, very physically strong, accredited BJJ black belt. Virna's a problem. But Virna aging, it's not going to get better for her wrestling. It's not going to get better for her cardio. And as much as she's willing to slug it out, as much as she can take a punch, the striking is just too jerky. It's too robotic. It's just too, one and done. One big, telegraph shot over the top, try to close some distance on you. Lupe, on paper, been taken down a few times here and there, but never been taken down, I think, more than once in a fight in the UFC. For the most part, solid takedown defense, and figures to be the better wrestler in this matchup. She's no doubt the better boxer, and that's where she needs to keep this fight. Keep it in boxing. Don't overextend yourself with a 3 or 4 punch combination, because that shot's coming, right? Just keep it simple. Keep it with the jab straight, 1, 1, 2, maybe throw in a leg kick. I think Virna's got a blown out knee. She's very kind of stiff on that front leg, and she wears the brace. I would say leg kicks aren't a terrible idea, but I'm a little bit concerned that maybe one of them get caught and Virna ends up on top. The reason I can back Lupe here is that even if Virna does end up on top, I don't see Lupe getting subbed. So if it's a one instance where it's like, damn, we lost that first round, Virna got the quick takedown, I still see Lupe being able to stuff the takedowns and outbox her 2 and 3. If it's 1-1 going into the third, the bottom line is she wins 2 of the 3. Whether it's the first 2, whether it's the first and the third, whether it's the second and the third, doesn't matter. I just think that even with making a mistake, giving up the takedown, giving up that vaunted top game, I still think she survives long enough to return to her feet and go back to doing the damage. Last thing is, we've been talking week in, week out, Paul, about how the judges in the Apex, judges in the UFC, Vegas predominantly, a lot of them are looking for damage, right? And the one thing with Virna, she's not landing a whole lot when she's on top. Her last fight with Marina Rodriguez, she got 3 takedowns. She spent the majority of the fight on top of her. Still got outstruck 33-27. 27 significant strikes in 15 minutes. Her fight with Angela Hill, also 15 minutes. She landed 14 significant strikes. So even if she fights to the best of her capabilities, she puts up an excellent performance by her standards, gets a few takedowns, but doesn't land shit, she still might lose. And so, yeah, I would have to go Lupe Godinez.
Yeah. All right, we got Julio Arce taking on Herbert Burns. -400 for Arce, +300 for Burns. I mean, the price does seem unenticing, I suppose, on Julio Arce, but bad Burns. I mean, good Burns hasn't looked good in the last little bit. I can only imagine what we are going to expect from bad Burns, Cody.
Yeah. What can you expect? There's one little tricky thing about this fight that we'll get to, but yeah, no, he's terrible. And it's not that you can just bank on, oh man, brother's Gilbert Burns, he's training with Gilbert, he's gonna get better. Like, we've seen this time and time again. There's a bad Usman, there's a bad Guida. Look up Jason Guida, Clay Guida's older brother. Oh man. Muhammad Usman, Kamaru's brother. Oh man. Dan Miller, Jim Miller's, that's a lie. Dan Miller fought the best guys. He fought like Chael Sonnen and Damian Maia. Michael Bisping. Okay, so I'll give Dan Miller a pass. He probably was a badass had he taken good fights. But the rest of them, there's a bad brother. Herbert Burns is the bad brother. He's not good. Jiu-jitsu guy, black belt, sure. I'm sure he's slick on the mats. I'm sure if you were to roll with this guy, he's got one of these quick little submissions. It's, oh damn, I never saw that coming. Then you roll him a second time, and you do see it coming. He might still hit you with it. The third time you roll with him, it don't work no more. And that's the kind of fighter he is. One trick pony, quick little magic. It's got to snap away right away. If it doesn't, he completely quits on himself. And Gilbert, who's a junkyard dog, okay, who dogs down opponents, higher weight classes with him on short notice if need be, he kind of slapping some sense into his brother, like, get going, Herb, get going. Guy just doesn't got it in him. Gilbert's an excellent brother, willing to carry the guy out of there. But at the same time, it's like they're not the same guy. They're not the same guy whatsoever. Now, you will see a couple quality victories on his record in that he beat Nate Landwehr, my boy. He beat Evan Dunham. A couple good little wins along the way. But when he was fighting in one championship, he was also known for the exact same thing. Quick magic or just quit on himself. Comes to the UFC, oh, damn, 2 little quick wins. Win on the Contender Series over Derek Minner. All quick wins, boom, boom, boom. That's the quick magic. When he doesn't get it, it's him versus Daniel Pineda. He misses weight, comes in at 149 for a 145 fight. because he's a giant featherweight, but comes in, misses weight, absolutely gasses out, and gets mauled on. He's a minus 300 favorite for the record over Pineda, who's making his UFC return. He's supposed to mollywop him. He's got all the skills in the world. Gilbert Burns' brother. He is a fraud, and he's got about 1 round in him. So as soon as it gets out of that 1 round, he's done. And then that last time out against Bill Algeo, it's the same thing. He come out hot for like 2 minutes. Wasn't even a round. Normally he gets a round out of it. No. But he made weight that time. That's the important thing to know. There's been pullouts in between. There's been injuries in between. He's effectively 36 years old. This marks a not quite a 2-year-long layoff, but a long-ish layoff. Like, there's no reason to believe that he's going to be in prime shape. There's no reason to believe that he's going to be able to fight beyond 3, 4, 5 minutes at best. Here's that one little thing that just, you kind of got to pump the brakes when you're backing up the Brinks truck, is that Julio Arce has fought his entire career at 135 pounds. And by my standard, he's really not that big of a 135er to begin with. But he's now moving up to 145. I don't know why. He was supposed to fight Cody Garbrandt 1 year ago. Pulls out due to injury, okay? Pulls out. Now he's taken a year off. He has not fought effectively in also nearly 2 full years since his last time competing. He's moving up to 145 for the first time in his career. He is 34 years old. Do you see why you wouldn't want to bet him at minus 400? Do you see 100%. What I'm getting at?
I see what you're getting
He's on a near 2-year-long layoff, moving up a weight class for the first time ever, had a bunch of injuries, is 34 years old, is coming off a loss, and Herbert, for as god-awful as he is, he barely makes 145 pounds.
He's a big boy.
He barely even makes the weight class to begin with. So that quick little magic, yeah, this is a fight where it's possible. But just like Muhammad Usman last weekend, and he actually did almost win. I didn't think he won, but he almost won. It was a terrible fight. There's something in me. I can't bet. I can't do it. Can't do it. I could never bet Herbert Burns. Just can't do it. But I will admit, at minus 400, the very large featherweight against what is suspected to be a smaller featherweight, layoff, injuries, blah, 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 blah. There's so many red flags that's like minus 400. You want to feel a lot more confident, right?
You have any thoughts on the total there? I mean, that's always sketchy with Herbert Burns, right?
So,
Herbert Burns is going to try to finish you off early, but
I would say the under because
it's 1.5 though, and it's like a pick 'em to the 1.5.
Yeah, that's true. 1.5s, I love over 1.5. So you're right. If I was gonna bet the under, maybe not. And the other thing is that when you watch Herbert, I don't know what the refs are thinking, but they'll let him take the beating because he's just kind of clinging on, like nothing's a big shot. He's just using his jiu-jitsu to minimize the damage, and his coaches and his brother are yelling like, "Don't quit on yourself, Herbert." And it's just kind of like, "Nah, dog, I'm going to quit on myself. Just give me a second. I'll tell you a story here. Quick story. We'll move on because I'm sure this podcast is getting long. Back in oh man, I wasn't born, but it would have been like the 60s or something like that. Professional wrestling, which was hot as shit. People thought it was real for the most part. It comes to Sudbury, Ontario, small little mining town. That's where my grandpa is. That's where my dad's born. That's where the family's from. Sudbury, right? So they're coming in and they're like, "Oh, Walter, my grandpa, who worked at the mine at Inco, he was a drafter. They're like, would you be the referee?" Right? And he refereed some other stuff. He coached some hockey. He was kind of involved with like the Sudbury Athletics. So, the mine's bringing in this pro wrestling thing, and Walter's going to be the referee. So he goes in. These guys are going at it. They're going at it. Boom, this guy hits him. Boom, he slams him. The crowd's going crazy. And boom, dude, knocks this guy out. This guy hits the ground. My grandpa's like, "Oh, man," right? He goes, he gets the smelling salts. He runs over to this guy, this pro wrestler, gives him a whiff, right? Nothing. Gives him a whiff. The guy looks up. He goes, "Fuck off." It's just an act, He was just playing it. That's Herbert. It's like, defend yourself. You got to move, Herbert. You got to move. Yeah, let me chill a little bit longer here so I can get the guy to wave this off, and then we'll go in the back and discuss it. And I hate to question a guy's character because he's a pro fighter and he's got credible victories, and he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and he trains with some of the best guys, and I bet you he's a very good training partner. But this ain't it for him, is the bottom line. Did you look up Jason Guida yet? Yeah, it wasn't it for Jason Guida either. Clearly he liked to fight. Look at the amount of fights he had. Come on. Dude likes to fight. Doesn't mean he's good at it, right?
He's not even just
Herbert,
fighting.
I'm not even I don't even know how much he likes to do it because outside of 3 or 4 minutes, he's kind of just like shit.
Yeah. Jason Guida was the big Guida, but my God. Tough time. I
He
mean,
still gets in
he's still
about.
grappling. Well, as of 2022, he's still grappling. Hasn't won
Was he
anything.
actually?
Yeah, he had a grappling match in 2022, but his
He
last
got
last
kicked off
win
the
was
Ultimate Fighter.
2011 against Keith Richards. Not that Keith Richards. I don't think, at least. I mean, this record would
He could
indicate
be- I
that it
bet you
could
he
be
could-
that Keith Richards. And the age, the age of that guy, maybe it was Keith Richards. Wow. Yeah, no, pretty ugly. But I mean, yeah, this happens in every sport. It's like Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky had a brother who played in the NHL. He was bad, Gretzky, compared to Wayne, who was the greatest of all time. Yeah, is what it is. Yeah, bad burns. Tough to trust, but you make some good points about, like, I mean, who really wants to back Arce? I mean, the crowd will probably be on Arce's side, so if it goes to decision, he trains in this part of the world. He should have more volume. I mean, if Herbert Burns goes the full 3 rounds, I can't imagine he's going to be looking pretty in round 3. I'll tell you that much. So I can see why Julio Arce would be the favorite, but at minus 400, is there any meat on the bone? I really don't think so. So it was minus 450 when I first made the graphic, and it seems like a little bit of people are punting on Burns, and I can't really fault that, to be perfectly honest. There are a lot of red flags, question marks there. All right, we got Dennis Buzukja versus Connor Matthews. Buzukja, minus 130 favorite. Matthews can be had for plus 110. Cody, you were talking about, you're like, we'll talk about this guy later. Let's talk about it now.
Yeah, let's talk about it right now. Yeah, honestly, this is it's a tough fight, tough, greasy fight. You got the hometown guy, Ish, and Dennis Buzukja, trains at Cerro Longo. He's out of one of the best gyms. He has the best training partners. Aljamain Sterling, Murad Davashvili, Matt Favola. The list goes on and on and on. It just churns out some of the best guys that he not necessarily gotten the rub. We've seen him plenty of times. Fights on the Contender Series against Melsak Bagdasaryan. I thought he got tired after the first round. He got very much complacent in landing the same combinations, the same 2 punches at a time, not throwing a whole lot of volume, getting outworked, and losing to Bagdasaryan. Goes back to the regional scene, gets brought back to the Contender Series against Kaleo Romero. Again, not like a particularly spirited fight. He outlanded him 49-39. They both each had a takedown. He wins a decision. It's a slow-paced fight. It's not super entertaining. He still does not get a contract out of that. That's a second appearance on the Contender Series. Yeah, he's young, still only 26 years old, and he's going to be getting better. He's going to make some improvements, but to be told no after back-to-back fights on Contender Series, the latter of which was a win, it'd be tough, but he does the same thing. Goes back to the regional scene, and at this point, he gets a little bit salty. The guys he chooses to fight on the regional scene are very low level. It's almost as if the UFC said, hey, we know we didn't give you the contract, but you're still young, and we'll call you up short notice if we need you. So just stay active. And they do this to everybody. Stay active. Yep. Show that you can win some fights. You finish a guy if you can. Show that you can make weight. We'll give you the call if we need someone on short notice. So then he gets regulated to fighting guys that are 7-7 and 6-4. And it's a disservice to him because even though they're wins and he's achieving his goal of setting himself up for a potential UFC spot, he's not getting ready for the stiff, rigid fire of fighting a legitimate competitor. And so that's what he got. Sean Woodson fight was short notice. He took it on like 10 days notice in Nashville. And he just looked so out of place. Like Woodson put a fairly solid beating on him. He didn't look good anywhere. His striking had no pizzazz. He's got no real power behind it. His takedown defense was non-existent. Woodson was just tossing him on the ground. Yeah, he's short notice, but he was apparently in camp expecting that something might pop up or expecting to take another fight. And yet he flat out gassed out and let the lights get to him. It was a very bad performance. Even though it was short notice, even though Woodson's an absolute killer, it was a bad performance. They bring him back. Now he's got a full camp. Brought back against Jamall Emmers, who we've already talked about, who is super talented, and Emmers just dices him out in 49 seconds. Oh, Emmers missed weight by 1 pound. Boo-hoo. The bottom line is Emmers knocks him out in 49 seconds. Emmers is not really known for like one-hitter quitter type power. So now Dennis is in a tough spot. His grappling is really not all that good. It's not all that good by Cerro Longo's standards. He's not Algeo. He's not Rob Davashvili. He's not Favola. He's not one of these guys that's chain wrestling, solid grappling, solid pressure, and physically strong. He's just really not. The striking, meanwhile, it's low volume, low power, and it's enough to chip away and win rounds here and there, but I just don't see a whole lot behind it. Flip side of that, you got Connor Matthews, and there's nothing particularly all that special about Connor Matthews, I wouldn't say. But yeah, he's willing to go for it, man. His first fight in the Contender Series versus Francis Marshall. Again, they're not unsimilar. They both had 2 shots on Contender Series. They both gone 1-1. Both guys lost their first fight. Both guys won their second fight. Only Matthews actually got the contract. Actually, I'm pretty sure he didn't get the contract. That's a lie. Both guys are in the same boat. They didn't get the contract. Matthews won that second time. And then since then yeah, no, he did. Okay, my bad. My bad about that.
Yeah, they gave everyone a contract last year.
Yeah, it was a pretty weird season where I think only 4 people of the like 10 episodes didn't get a contract. What a slap in the face to them. Torrance Finney didn't get a contract. Of all the people they signed, it doesn't make any sense. But I digress. What I'm getting at with this matchup is both guys are kind of in a similar position where they've been on the Contender Series a couple times. They're both from wicked camps. It's not like one guy's just from Serra-Longo. Matthews is over from the Combat Cartel, the New England Cartel. They're solid. And I would say that he's got a slight wrestling advantage, maybe not grappling, but enough to potentially push Buzukja up against the cage, complete a couple takedowns. He's got a lot more volume than him. Both guys kind of lack that big power, so I think it's probably more of a volume game. And I think he's, ever so slightly keeps it competitive with the numbers, keeps it competitive by mixing in a few takedowns, and it would be a very close, competitive, decision-type fight that if it was in the Apex, it was in Las Vegas, maybe Connor Matthews would edge out that decision. Being that it's in Atlantic City, I expect a whole lot of support for those New York and New Jersey guys, guys that kind of train at both, which he does. And I got a feeling that we give shit to the Vegas Commission and these other places don't got bias and this and that. Like Jersey with some local guys on the card. Like I wouldn't feel overly confident in it, to be perfectly honest with you. So, sorry, what was the official number you put up?
Minus 130 plus 110.
Yeah, you know what? I just got to be a man here and put the crowd noise aside. And it's a dogger pass. It's a dogger pass. It's close to even money. There is really no underdog. So but I think I'm going to edge Connor Matthews. Yeah, I'm going to take Matthews. Simple fact, Buzukja's looked awful his last 2 fights. He's not he's not beaten a good opponent in quite some time. He's still only 26, but his confidence is low, and he's stuck in first gear. Matthews is getting a shot at the UFC. He earned the contract. He scored 7 takedowns in his last fight, landed 100 significant strikes in the Contender Series appearance prior to that. He's hungry, and the New England Cartel, I mean, come on, man. These guys are sharp. So I expect Tyson Chartier to have him in excellent shape. From stuff that you see on social media, it looks like the whole camp is in, they're in season to go out there and go get some wins. I don't know why I stuttered on that, but it's the season to go out, get some effing wins, dog. That's what I think maybe Matthews needs to go do. Put the pressure on, fight like a dog, mix in some takedowns, outwork them, and get the win. Buzukja, low confidence, total dogger pass, total one guy's got slight plus money. If it was roles reversed, I may consider Buzukja. I'm still going to wait until I see weigh-ins on this one because I want to see who's actually in shape. But yeah, pre-fight flop, dogger pass for me. I'll take Matthews.
I'll tail you on the dogger pass there. Just based on the fact that in the stats that I do have here, 80 significant strikes against Jair Farias, 74 against Francis Marshall, but he got taken down 6 times against Francis Marshall. I think his wrestling is a massive, massive question mark. Like, who's going to have, the edge in those types of exchanges between the two of these guys? Not entirely sure. So, in that type of situation, we'll look at, striking numbers, and at least Connor Matthews is clearing 70 in his fights. Buzukja, even on the Contender Series, the most was 57 when he lost to Melsick, 50 or 49 in a fight against Caleo Romero. And then all of those fights on the regional scene were against absolute dust busters, right? Absolute nobodies. Just staying busy for the sake of... I mean, you left out part of the story there. I believe that you tried to, book him for a fight or something, and then they kind of gave you, the swerve ball on it.
Well, okay, so basically tried to book him for a fight, and his
not to bring up
team
past dramas.
No, but you are right. They turned down two opponents for him, basically being like, yeah, well, not we need a win, but like he can't risk taking a loss. So no and no. That's what they said. No and no. But he's in shape and offer somebody else, and he would take that. And then coincidentally, the UFC was like, would you fight Sean Woodson on the Nashville card? And he was like, yeah, perfect, let's go. So they threw him in there. So that's why I think he was not in terrible shape for the Woodson fight. He didn't roll off the couch and take it. He was angling to dig another fight. And the fact that his management team is saying no and no to guys that I won't disclose their names, they weren't killers. The one guy was 16 and 12, a lot of fights. And he's a half killer to be truth be told. But it wasn't like I was throwing him to the wolves. But maybe for a 25-year-old kid, they knew better. The other guy, not nearly experienced, a very winnable fight for Dennis. Dennis has got teammates on the card. Everybody's in shape. Admittedly, they're saying he's in shape. Nah, we don't like that one. We don't like that one. And that's your inner circle. That's your management team. That's people that are like, if Dennis loses, then it's going to take, 2 more years to get 4 more fights and, fight for LFA and fight for, this. That would be good for him. These guys, like, the era is gone. You used to be shitty guys on the UFC roster, don't get me wrong, but those guys had at least, like, won something. Like, they either had 20 or 30 fights on the regional scene, or they had beaten a guy that got cut from the UFC, and that meant something at the time. Nowadays, there's just a ton of these 26-year-old kids, just like Dennis, okay, who should be fighting for LFA. Go win the LFA belt, and then we'll sign you. No, he's only 26. He's super young. No, throw him in the UFC, gets murdered by Woodson, so they throw him in against Emmers, tough fight, knocked out in 49 seconds, and now you're throwing him in a much easier fight, don't get me wrong. But still, it's a bad start for you. When you look at Yusuf Zalal, he had a good little run the first time. Yeah, had a good little run the first time, but ultimately got thrown to the Lions. Tough opponents. Wasn't quite ready for it. Goes back to the regional scene, gets a little bit better, gets a little more mature. First guy to submit Billy Carantillo. Not only is he the first guy to submit Billy Q, he beat the absolute tar out of him, pillar to post. Beat down. It was a career best performance for Zalal, and you can argue a career worst performance for Billy only because of how bad Zalal made him look. He was probably in shape, ready to go. It didn't matter. That's maturity. So when you get 14 fight cards on a weekend, this is just like every other weekend, which is why I've been able to get success with not. If you get a top ticket on the UFC, that's great. That's what we've been hitting. I'd like to hit 2. I'd like to hit 3. There's always somebody that shits the pie on that second ticket, but we've been lucky with those first tickets. But this weekend alone, you got an A1 Combat on Friday. There's a ACA. I don't recommend baiting ACA, but it's on. BKFC's on the Saturday. There's a Cage Warriors card, 14 fight banger. There's a LFA 12 fight banger. There's a PFL 13 fight banger on the Thursday. And there's a 14 fight UFC Atlantic card on the Saturday. It just never ends. So pick your spots. But these 26-year-old shouldn't be in the UFC. 0-2, bright lights, near even money fight. You can do better. You can find better spots than this. Unless you know Dennis and you're like, my dog is ready to go. He's in great shape. Or you know Connor and you're like, no, Connor's got the edge on this. You got a little bit of information. You got that hard lean. Then by all means. To me, on a weekend that has 50 other betting opportunities, you don't have to squeeze a guy that should be fighting on this LFA card or on this Cage Warriors card or on this A1 Combat card, but not on this UFC card. So,
but you will squeeze.
Sometimes I'm going to bet it. I'm a degenerate, Paul. Come on. There's going to be some type of action, but it might be a $2 PRP parlay. It might be a $3 little. If I like a prop on it, I'll hammer a prop on it. But like to bet one side or the other straight up money line, like where's my lean? Where's my real strong lean? People are saying Dennis is better and this is going to be good for Dennis. He just got knocked out in 49 seconds. So is chin an issue? Is his confidence an issue? He's had no success in the UFC so far. You can't guarantee anything on either side.
No.
And so again, props, totals, over unders, stuff like that. Yeah, don't mind that. Don't mind that one bit. To add them to parlays, that's what makes hitting a giant parlay tough, because you're just taking a shot in the dark. It's just a shot in the dark. If they fight 10 times, they might win 5 times each. Who's going to win on this singular time? Don't know. Hope to be on the right side. And hopefully for this one single time that these guys are going to square up, I'm going to take Matthews. Winning streak, confident, ready to go, UFC debut, put out. The other guy's 0-2 in the UFC, confidence is super low, and 26-year-old Buzukja with confidence low versus 31-year-old full-grown man, prime of his life, Connor Matthews. This is the point in the road where 31's not old, but it's the prime of your life. One guy's in the prime with confidence, The other guy's still only 26, still young. Cut him, just like you did Zalal. Send him to the regional scene. Let him get that confidence back. Let him trial and tribulations. Let him garner some experience. Bring him back. He could be legitimate. Instead, you're just letting these guys take beatings, life-altering beatings. Not necessarily, oh man, you took so much damage it changed his life, but like getting hit in the head that many times is not good for you. The more you fight, the more you lose, the more you spend on your back eating elbows in the face. Like, no, that's good for you. Winning is good for you. Losing, yeah, not so much. And he's young. You're just breaking his character. You're breaking his spirit, his desire. But I don't know. Maybe the guy is completely unfazed and wants this more than ever. I'm sure he's motivated. I'm sure he's going to get cut if he doesn't win this fight. If not, 3-fight losing streak in the UFC. Because he took the first one short notice. They'll probably let him fight out his 4-fight deal. But what I'm saying is it would be a grim foresight of your future. What are we looking at here on a 0-3-fight losing streak? So no doubt he will be motivated, sure. But is that enough? Confidence to me is a big thing. Matthews would have that slight plus money. Take Matthews if you're gonna.
With Contender Series coming up, like if you are Dennis
they
Buzukja,
both had 2 cracks on it. And one of them didn't even get a contract still.
Yeah, Buzukja, 2 straight losses, 2 times on Contender Series. Dana wasn't really impressed any single way. It's like now he's going into his backyard, he's a New York guy fighting in Jersey. It's just like they are setting you up for success here. If Buzukja wins, I figure he gets cut. Like there's just too much fresh blood coming in through the door coming up this summer that I don't know if they would keep him around. So yeah, he needs it. But there's 14 fights on this card. That fight particularly is the fight I am like least invested in, least interested in making a bet in. I have no idea how it's going to shake out between those two. This next one is pretty interesting, though. We've got Ibo Aslan taking on Anton Turkalj. -130 for Aslan, +110 for Turkalj. It's the rematch that nobody knows is a rematch. Well, unless you're like a real hardcore, you watch Brave CF. These guys fought already. I thought it was kind of interesting because Turkalj wins. Turkalj wins in round 2. So I'm like, all right, I got to go watch some tape. I got to watch this one back here. And Aslan lands really, really nice leg kicks. That's like part of his game. Like really, really punishing leg kicks. He can absolutely crack 100%. He showed that on Contender Series. That's how he got the job, or that he got, the contract in the octagon. He's very, very tentative. He kind of is a bit of a power puncher. And then when he puts it on you, he can definitely, put an end to you. I believe he's like buddies with Roman Dolidze, like a training partner with Roman Dolidze, or at least Dolidze was like walking him in for his Contender Series fight. So I don't know what the relationship is there. But yeah, back to Brave CF when these guys fought the first time. Aslan was absolutely bodying him, killing him. Round 1, dominated him, got into top position, landing some nice elbows from top position, all the good stuff. Really, like they were 8-0 Aslan and 5-0 for Turkalj at that point. Both of them were undefeated prospects on the European regional scene. It was one-way traffic in round 1. And then maybe even for the first minute of round 2, Aslan's looking pretty good. And then that cardio fell off a goddamn cliff, Cody. It's like one of the worst crashes I've ever seen. And then immediately Turkalj's able to take him down. Like he's been getting absolutely bodied this entire fight. But Turkalj's able to take him down immediately, find the back, find the choke. Like it was just like that. You're like, oh, this guy is done. Like immediately. And then since then, Aslan hasn't gotten out of the first round. It's not his fault. He's finished everybody. He took up quite a bit of time after that Turkalj fight off. He had Contender Series, and he had 3 other fights in between. He's finishing all of these guys in the first round. Now, it's obviously lower level of competition. The real big question mark and why you look at this fight, it's just he's absolutely bodying this guy, crushing this guy. Has he worked on the gas tank? Has he put in the time to get better in that respect? You have to imagine that's probably what this guy has been up to. On his Contender Series fight, he did look, at least for the first 2 minutes, a little bit more reserved. Let's conserve energy before exploding. Once he had his opponent hurt, he went in for the kill. Big time question marks here all the way around. I was after watching their first fight, I'm like, all right, what are the props on Turkalj round 2, Turkalj round 3? And they're plus 500 and plus 900. I'm like, the books already have this sniffed out. I'm gonna go with Ebo. I'm gonna say Ebo's made the fixes, maybe, or at least is able to, hold or maintain that cardio, maintain that pace a little bit better, use his energy a little bit cleaner. And on top of that, it's like back then, Turkal's looking like super, super durable. Has never been knocked out. Now we've seen him get knocked out a couple times. The wrestling's never actually been great for him. I think he's giving up a lot of strength, particularly early in the striking exchanges here. So it seems crazy because Turkal's won between these two of these guys before, but I think Aslan is the right side here. What about you?
Yeah, it's not crazy, even though they fought him before, because the last time they fought, like you said, Aslan was putting a beating on him, man. He's backing him up. Ibo's taking off the front leg, beating him up, landing all the damage, and then he just completely gasses out. So again, it's another one of those, if they fought 10 times, maybe he does knock him out. And then the other 5 times he gasses out, and he's not a great grappler. He doesn't have that good cardio. Turkali wins the fight. So yeah, he was close, and this fight, even though it's a rematch that he lost, should be lined as close. The thing is, last time they fought, Ibo's only 24 years old, and he has really not fought anybody all that good to that point. Actually hasn't really fought anybody all that good since, truth be told, but all the same, it's a big step up. He's 24 years old. He has a great first round. He completely gasses out. You learn from that. It's good for you. Losing is healthy, right? It makes you learn. What were the mistakes? Where did I go wrong? What can I improve on? You're not invincible. It was a step up in competition, which people need to take. He unfortunately comes up on the short end of it, but there was a lot to improve on. There's a lot of good takeaways, solid striking, definitely the power advantage. Now he's 27 years old. He looks in fantastic shape. He's a solid man with big power, and he's got a way better training system around him. When you watch him compete, even though it's lower level guys and then one fight on the Contender Series, he moves a lot better. He moves a lot quicker, a lot more athletic. You can see that there is a development there. And this is not somebody that's just, fighting periodically and not getting any better. He's physically maturing. He's getting more experience. He's getting that time in the gym, and he's getting a whole lot better. You can see it. Are these guys standing up to him beyond that first round? No. Do we want to see him fight in the second and third? Absolutely. But for the time being, all we can assume is that he is a better version of himself now than he was then. Anton, you can't definitively say that Anton is any better now than he was 3 years ago. He does the exact same thing. He shoots from way too far out, tries to get a hold of you, tries to wrangle you to the ground, never properly sinks his hips or sets up top control. Just allows too much space, too much room. Guys scramble, they get back up. He chases another takedown. And on the in-betweens, takes a whole lot of damage. It's all fine and good. He gets choked out by Jolton Almeida. He gets 5 takedowns over Vitor Petrino, but he gives up 7 takedowns to Vitor Petrino. It's that last fight with Tyson Pedro. Tyson Pedro is quite simply not very good, right? And not only is he not all that good, he's not that big of a power puncher. He's beating up guys like Harry Hunsucker, but as a whole, he's not exactly somebody that just goes out there and melts you, right? Anton, in fact, he beats Anton. He fought one more time and just retired and was like, this ain't for me no more. Mm-hmm. But even against Anton, all he had to do is just connect. Anton hits the deck the first time, but as soon as he pots back up, it's just legs gone, equilibrium gone, balance gone. Pedro just chases him around until he eventually falls over and the ref stops at 2 minutes in. Ebo tanks this guy in the jaw. It's probably going to be a similar outcome. You got a guy 3 years more mature, who already was a better striker, coming in this rematch against an Anton Turkalj who's shop-worn, just got blasted out by a mediocre level of guy his last time out. It all screams super live underdog, which Ebo is a slight underdog, right?
Correct me if I'm wrong. Slight favorite now. But it's like, it's
okay.
Another like 50. It's minus 130 plus 110.
Like I can get why you would get behind that guy and think, you know what, he goes out and chins him. And your pull the parachute moment is if the fight ends the first round. Like if Anton takes a beating in that first round and it for whatever reason starts the second, okay? Now you're live for bet Anton Turkalj at plus 300 because he survived the first round and he's live. I think in many ways he's still a very problematic opponent for Ebo. Simply because you go back to that Vitor Petrino fight, he lands 5 takedowns and then you can't hold him down, and Vitor gets 7. That's 12 takedowns combined. It's so exhausting, man. Like if you're worried about Ebo not being able to fight more than one round, it doesn't matter if Turkali gets the takedowns or is able to hold him down. Quite simply trying and causing Ebo to constantly work and constantly carry his weight and constantly have to shift his hips and scramble and create space and explode back to his feet and dig an underhook and do it all over again. That is so unbelievably exhausting that he may not even get any takedown or maybe get one for a few seconds in the first round. And it's just putting that work on him and tiring him in the first and getting into the second, that is where the win is. That is where the win is. So Chakal is going to make this an ugly fight. He's going to try to grind on him. It's whether you have any faith in his chin, because you know Ebo's going to crack. And again, if you watch their last fight, Ebo did crack. And so, tough one. But I think I would go Ebo. I think I would go Ebo, but it would be like a very low, because I can see
Oh, I
the
can
pick for
see
Takali.
both sides,
I can see
for
it,
sure.
but it's a live bet. I would not really want to bet it right at this moment, pre-flop. Not a whole lot of interest. After he gets beat up in the first round, yeah. And whereas this would be one of those fights that's totally live for he gets 10-8'd in the first round, survives, maybe wins 2 and 3 and gets a decision. It is not going to decision. He's either getting deaded in the first or he will choke him out in the second, same as the last fight. I'll go Ebo and say he's made the better improvements.
The third.
And
maybe he's improved that cardio enough, but like I do struggle to see how he's gonna look in round 3 because frankly he's never really shown us that. And the one time that he really did, it was against this very guy, and he fell off a damn cliff. It was bad. Like it was like one of the biggest cardio flops I've seen in a long time, to be perfectly honest. All right, we got Melissa Gatto taking on Victoria Dudakova, minus 160 for Gatto, plus 140 for Dudakova, who you got.
Yeah, I'm obviously missing something here, but like I feel like Gatto just absolutely cleans her up. Now, last weekend, I thought I was missing something that I thought Steve Nguyen would absolutely clean him up, and it just didn't happen. And so, yeah, Dems to break sometimes. In that particular instance, his opponent had like never really thrown much. And then all of a sudden I get a career best back up against the wall version of the guy that slings caution to the wind for 15 straight minutes and beats the crap out of Steve Nguyen. So what can you do, right? There's a version of the guy that you're hoping shows up and expect to show up, but it's up to them. It's up to them ultimately. This very much is the exact same thing. I feel like Gatto is just better. And it's the same line, minus 160. Gatto is the better fighter. You look at her versus Victoria Leonardo, there's a lot of like inconsistencies, I guess, in her regional show career. She's not somebody that is able to keep super active. So she's still only 28 years old. When she fought Victoria Leonardo, it was a 3-year long layoff. She hadn't fought in 3 years. The win 3 years prior was against Carol Rosa, who goes on to fight in the UFC and goes on to do pretty decent for herself. But all the same, she beats Carol Rosa, which is a solid win, to retain an undefeated record, and then takes 3 years off. When she come back against Victoria Leonardo, she's still only, I think, 26 years old. Let me just confirm. She's 25 years old when she comes back off that 3-year long layoff. She's still just super young. And she puts a beating on Victoria Leonardo, breaks the girl's arm because of she was trying to like block kicks. Like Gatto just ripped these massive body kicks. Victoria Leonardo would put them down, try to block up high, try to block with the forearm, and it just shatters it. It's a nice little win. Her fight with Sanjara Eubanks, again, she's not expected to do a whole lot. She's a plus 140 underdog against Eubanks, who's a Lloyd Irvin, BJJ black belt, superior grappling, on a decent little run at the time. And she goes out there and largely stuffs the takedowns. It's a very slow pace, ugly fight, so to speak. I thought Eubanks won the first, Gatto won the second, and then Gatto takes her out 45 seconds into the third round, gets the knockout. To knock out Sanjara Eubanks, huge feather in your cap. Much larger opponent, seasoned opponent, solid opponent, hung on the ground when you got taken down, still young, still undefeated. What's there not to like? And then, like anything, the natural progression is you need to fight better level of competition. And that better level of competition is Tracy Cortez and Ariane Lipsky. Starting with Tracy Cortez is a legitimate prospect, okay? Is a top 5, top 7 girl of the division, coming off a very nice win over Jasmine Jassidavicius, who's another contender of the division. Tracy Cortez, that's a good fight. Gatto takes her down 3 times. Former, like, state champion wrestler. She had 3 brothers that won state championships, right? She's a solid wrestler by the division's standards. She got 3 takedowns on Tracy Cortez, threw up a submission attempt, didn't get totally outstruck, keeps the fight competitive. It's a good fight. Unfortunately, You're fighting a very tough opponent, Tracy. Doesn't go her way. Fair. Ariana Lipski, I don't know what happened to this girl, man. She totally reinvented her game. She got real comfortable at the American Top Team. She got comfortable with where she was at. She made tons of improvements. Even in that loss, split decision, and Gato outstruck her 85-66. Gave up the one takedown. Gato's still young, only 28. Volume, it's there. 85 significant strikes landed against Lipski, who's a very credible striker. Pretty solid. Cardio seems to be there. Durability seems to be there. Power seems to be there. Breaks Leonardo's arm. Knocks out Eubanks. Very quality victory. There's a lot to like with Gato. She's still improving. She's still strong. She's still got a lot of solid characteristics to begin with. Solid foundation, building blocks. I like it. Dudakova, meanwhile... Dudakova looks like a bit of, you can't say like a Russian fraud. That'd just be like a weird way of putting it. But there's a lot of these girls from Russia, very physically strong. On the regional scene, they're muscling around all their opponents. They come over to North America. They start to take on increasingly better level of competition. Doesn't work out for them. Bellator used to sign just a plethora of them. And then even last weekend, you saw, right? Solid, up-and-coming Russian prospect. How greasy was that fight? How good did you feel at the end of the fight that she had won it? Yeah, probably not. Probably not really good. It was a damn close fight. Going to this Victoria Dudakova, it's much of the same. She's young to begin with, 25. She fights on the Contender Series against Maria Silva, right? Prior to that, it's low-level competition. But in her fight with Maria Silva, she gets the 4 takedowns. Physically, she's very strong. You watch her on the regional scene, very strong. She pins you up against the cage, she'll peel you to the ground. She'll dig underhooks, peel you to the ground. Very, very adequate wrestler, physically strong. Against lesser-known competition on the regional scene. The win over Maria Silva, it just backs that statement of solid wrestler. The fight with Estela Nunes is a weird one, Paul. You'll remember it. She shot the world's worst takedown, at least the weirdest-looking takedown I've seen in a very long time. Can't imagine it would normally work. And Estela Nunes, falls to the ground and posts on her arm and broke her arm. So, it worked. It worked. I mean, I can't take anything away from her. It worked. But at the same time, it was like, if that's what you're bringing to the octagon and that's the kind of setups you're looking to set up, I don't like it. I don't like her striking. I don't particularly care for her cardio. I think her, striking defense is not very good. She doesn't move her head. She's always linear on a straight line. She's there for the taking. It's that she has lesser opponents that can't wrestle, or Estela Nunes that breaks her arm. Then that fight with Jinyu Frey. Jinyu Frey's a 105-pounder. You know that. Jinyu Frey is nearly 40 years old. She's undersized, older, not on a great run. Dudakova's supposed to put a beating on her, and yet Jinyu Frey stuffed all of the takedowns. Mm-hmm. And Dudakova only actually shot 3 of them, so she wasn't looking to wrestle. She instead just decided, crash the pocket and strike, which is fine. It won her the fight. It wasn't like it was particularly a very good fight, man. It's an undersized, I don't want to say over the hill because it sounds disrespectful, and I never mean to be disrespectful. So I don't mean to say an over the hill Jinyu Frey. Just, you're not taking on a great version of Jinyu Frey, and she's undersized to begin with. And so to not be able to take her down is problematic. So now she's got this fight with Gato. Gato's got solid takedown defense. If Dudakova shows up with the same stuff that she's been showing up with, which is the assumption here, it's not going to be enough to take down Gato. So she's going to have to strike with him. She'll come forward, she'll crash the pocket, she'll make it ugly, but it'll get ugly quick because Gato's got the power advantage. Gato's the better striker. Gato's going to pound her with body kicks, soften her up, land shots up top, and eventually just fatigue her and curl her over. I would think this seems like a decision type fight, but Gato's got this corner stops it for you because you sustain a lot of damage if you're there to get hit. And Dudakova is very much there to get hit. So don't let this combat sambo and this wrestling fool you. She's not cast iron Russian. She's not OG, take you to the ground, beat the crap out of you. It's very much she's been built up to take on girls with no takedown defense. And Gato's just not that girl. She's about to run into a brick wall is what's going to happen. And at minus 160, I'm here for it. So because I got burnt last weekend, getting a little overconfident on a 50-50 type play against Yergo Aaron's, I don't know. It was a bad play. It was a bad play. Yeah, part of me is like, pump the brakes. What are you missing? What are you missing? Look at it a second time. Look at it a third time. But ultimately, I've looked at it enough. I think Gatto's going to end up at least on the third line. Hopefully, I could squeeze her down in the fourth line. Between all of the MMA this weekend, I don't even got a player at all. But on these UFC plays, I think Gatto would be one of the better plays considering the rest of the favorites that we've talked about.
If you were wondering what those strange sounds coming out of my laptop were during Cody's breakdown there, they were because you were like, oh, it's not fair to call her a Russian fraud. So I looked up the translation for fraud in Russian, and you have Moshenik and this one. Obmanchik. No, yeah, basically, I agree. I think that there's a massive strength disparity between the two of them here. Like, Gato is super, super, super strong. It's going to be very, very difficult for Dudakova to be able to hang in those types of physical exchanges. I think, from what I've seen from Dudakova.
Let me pose one more question for you. Whenever you're done.
Well, no, you can. Whatever you have, just say it. Go. I'll clean up at the end.
Yeah, with Dudakova, she fights Jinyu Frey. We've already talked about is undersized, right? She's got the wrestling advantage. She's got the size advantage. This is her fight to win. In the second round, she gets taken down by Jinyu Frey. Then she spends 4 minutes and 40 seconds of the round on her back, completely unable to get back up to her feet against a 105-pound Jinyu Frey.
Yep.
And now she's taking on Melissa Gatto, who beats her in the striking. Nobody's saying that Gatto couldn't win a striking battle. But Gatto got Tracy Cortez down 3 times. Gatto can grapple legitimately. Gatto hung with Sanjara Eubanks in spots. I think she can win the fight striking. I think she can just spam takedowns. And what's Dudakova going to do? She got no game off her back, 0. Jinyu Frey not shooting any more takedowns than she did, not getting the fight down in the third. That's what lost it for. But having no get-up game is just so problematic against someone like Gatto, who could strike and then transition a couple takedowns into the mix as well.
Yeah, Gatto's just been in there with much better opponents at this point in the octagon. Obviously, her only wins are coming against the bottom of the barrel. In all fairness, but a close fight with Tracy Cortez, somebody who's like an actual ranked opponent. Big difference for what Dudakova's been going up against in her Contender Series fight, and taking on Estela Nunes, who frankly just got injured before the fight even really started. So that fight you kind of just throw out. They always got to go. It seems like this is the spot for Dudakova to take that L. We got Jacob Malkoun taking on Andre Petrosky, -230 for Malkoun. Petrosky can be had for +200. I mean, death taxes Malkoun by decision, my friend. But it's too early in the week for a Malkoun. The one book that puts out all of them, God bless their hearts, they're willing to take risks where other books are kind of scared. But the +120, I'm sure there's going to be a better price out available than that. So I'm going to wait it out. I know that there's like factors of this fight that like sometimes Petrosky looks super tired. Maybe it doesn't get to... I've watched enough Jacob Malkoun to know that this guy, outside of his last fight where he actually got disqualified for being too aggressive and like going for the finish, that usually he's just happy to hang out and guard, win his decision, and be on his merry way. So I'll be betting. I'm sure I'm going to be betting, hoping for like a +150. I think a +150 Malkoun by decision will become available at some point over the course of the week. The +120 isn't horrible. I'm sure if that's the best price on market over the course of the week, I'll bite the bullet and put some, but I'll be putting more on +150s and up. But I expect better prices than the +120. That's the only price available at the time of this recording. Petrosky, obviously the body language looks bad in plenty of spots. He looks like he's going to gas out, but he's got a half decent grappling pedigree to him. His wrestling is pretty solid, so maybe Malkoun struggles a little bit to get to the fight to the mat, but I don't know. I feel like this fight will be very similar to what Malkoun does in a lot of his fights. And he's going to make it a boring wrestling match with really not much upside to a finish. What do you think about this one?
Jacob Malkoun, my guy. And I am ready to get hurt again, Paul Shaughnessy, because him getting disqualified his last time out. That one hurt so bad.
Because he's dominating.
Hurt so bad because Cody Brunridge is a bum. And, we'll talk about him on the UFC 300 card. He can win a fight here and there. I'll back him if it's good plus money. But the bottom line of it, he's a buck. He's a buck. Jacob Malkoun, man, he was having his way. And, like, give him a warning or stop curling over. Stop giving up your head and protecting. I'm just going to protect the sides of my head and give up the back of my head and hope he gets DQ'd. And then he does get DQ'd. It was so quick, too. I'm still so salty about that one. And Cody Bunridge, if you're sitting at home, you're like, dude, Cody Bunridge is not a bum. First of all, Bumridge. Second of all, yeah, dude. That one just killed me so bad. I'm salty, okay? Let me be salty. Just let me be salty on this one. Anyways, bottom line is Malkoun's the kind of guy I like to bet. He's like the kind of guy I really like to bet. He just keeps going, man, just with the takedowns. It doesn't matter. It's maybe not the most exciting fight going. He's very physically strong. He commits to the exact same game plan. He's not delirious about his ability to strike, and he just chain wrestles. Now, the problem with him is that he's either going to make me look good in rack up 6, 7, 8, 9 takedowns, or, yeah, you did see in that Phil Hawes fight once upon a time, he got melted in 18 seconds. That was a long time ago. Phil Hawes, terrible. Also a bum. But yeah, at his best, he's extremely explosive. And, he landed that one big kill shot. C'est la vie. It happens. Since then, Malkoun's not looking to exchange. He's looking to grapple. Abdul Razak Al-Hassan, judo black belt, built like a brick shithouse. And we talked about it. He took down Joaquin Buckley 3 times. Yeah, no, Malkoun took him down 8 times. Completely ragdolled him. Made his judo look like a judo white belt. 8 takedowns. His fight with AJ Dobson. AJ Dobson is actually very physically strong. Very physically strong guy, former power lifter, likes to implement a little bit of his own wrestling on guys. No, he took him down 6 times. His fight with Brandon Allen. I bet Brandon Allen that fight. And when they announced winner by unanimous decision, I was like, crap. Because I didn't think it'd be unanimous. Because Malkoun took him down 7 times and rode him for the vast majority of the fight. Like, it was a very, very, very close fight. Yeah, damage goes towards Allen. Control time Malkoun all day. Nick Maximov. Remember what Nick Maximov was doing to guys? Just trying to grind on them. Trying to rack up takedowns. BJJ black belt, Diaz bro, trained guy. No, doesn't matter. Malkoun, 9 takedowns. So not only can he take down guys that can't wrestle and can't grapple, he can take down guys that can wrestle and can grapple. And then Bunridge is another former college wrestler who's got solid wrestling credentials and, a very solid base that Malkoun tosses to the ground, gets on his back, backpacks, and beats the crap out. He happened to get disqualified. Oh my God, that one killed me. But again, c'est la vie. Sometimes those are the bounces of MMA. Guy bit a guy who I also had, for the record. That one didn't burn my ass quite as bit as the Malkoun pick because he was a top ticket guy. But still, what do you bite a guy for in a fight you're otherwise kind of winning? At least close to winning. Dropped the first round. It was close. But it was a close fight. We bit him. God damn it. God damn it, Paul. Let's get back to Jacob Malkoun. My kind of guy. All he does is rack up a tremendous amount of takedowns, and he doesn't tire. And very much so, my other guy, Fluffy Hernandez, same thing. And they both win on the basis of the same thing. They will just break you based on the takedowns. It's so physically tiring to wrestle. Even if you get back up, oh, great, moral victory. And then the commentators say, oh, that'll be good for his confidence, knowing that he get back up, dumped right back down. Get back up, dumped right back down. And this guy's not tiring. This guy's not huffing and puffing. This guy's not going anywhere. This guy's scored 8, 14, 21, 30, 31 takedowns in his last 5 fights. And that last one he got disqualified in. So take that one off the table. He had 29 takedowns in 4 fights. Yeah, machine. Robert Whitaker's BJJ coach. Guy's a machine. Now you say decision, and I agree. He's a decision guy, but it's a dominant. George St. Pierre was a decision guy. John Jones is for the most part mostly a decision guy. Like, dominating a guy is just as good as a finish. I don't care. Petrosky, meanwhile, is the polar opposite. He is a gas bag. He's a total gas bag. And you made a great point, and I hear this point all the time. People are like, dude, he looks super tired, but he gets these 3rd round finishes. He's not tired. Michael Gilmore to the 3rd round, Paul. He went to the 3rd round with Michael Gilmore and was gassed and finished him. Oh, great cardio. And then Hugh Yazong. Oh my God. And he's gassed. He's absolutely gassed. I don't care that he finishes Hugh Yazong and Michael Gilmore in the 3rd round. He is gassed. Now, Maximov, okay, he catches him quick. BJJ black belt versus BJJ black belt. College wrestler versus college wrestler. Quick submission. It happens. I'll give it to him. Wellington Turman fight, he racked up 8 takedowns of his own against Turman. His cardio didn't look bad in that Turman fight, but he mostly lay and prayed. 42 significant strikes landed. He tried a couple submission attempts. Wellington Turman, by the way, can't wrestle. Been out-wrestled and out-grappled by the vast majority of his opponents. Offered up little resistance and still was getting back up routine on him. Malkoun is grappler versus grappler. He's going to fight fire with fire, and it's going to be extremely exhausting. He beats Mearshart on a split decision. He is gassed. How good did he look in the first round with Mearshart? So good. How does he look the longer the fight goes? He is done. Landed a knockdown, couldn't capitalize on it. 2 for 5 on takedowns. And then when you look at these numbers, the first round, Petroski outlands him 13-11. The second round, Petroski outlands him 29-23. Those are the 2 rounds he banks. The third round, he got outstruck 42-15 by Gerald Mearshart. Was nowhere close to a takedown. Was nowhere close. Survival mode. Gassed. But the first 2 rounds, he had his way. Against Malkoun, he's not going to have his own way. I don't know that he takes Malkoun down at all. Malkoun will take him down. Malkoun will cause him to carry his weight, and he is just going to gas him. And we're not even talking about the Michel Pereira fight where he gets knocked out in minute 6. I'm going to throw a wrench into your plan here. Malkoun is going to knock him out. That's a stretch. Malkoun is going to TKO him and have the referee wave this thing off. The same way he would have TKO'd Brunridge had a shot not landed in the back of the head. He's backpacked this guy, clubbing him. Dude's got nothing to offer. They should just stop the fight on their own, and instead they're like, oh, shot to the back of the head. He was on his way to a TKO victory. That was in the first round. Did you think he was going away in the second? Did you think he was going away in the third? No, because he doesn't. Just keeps going. When I think Petroski, Petroski's going to hammer him in that first round. He's got heavy enough hands that maybe he can catch him early. Couldn't catch Michael Gilmore or Hugh Guzong, but maybe he could catch him with a punch early. Or maybe he could catch him in a quick little guillotine like Maximov in the first minute or 2. But after that, dude, it is going to be one-way traffic. One-way traffic with Malkoun riding this man like a small miniature-sized pony and smacking him both sides of the head. Hopefully not in the back of the head. God damn it. Oh, man. Smacking him both sides of the head until the ref is just like, yeah, I've had enough of this tube, dog, and stops it. And that's going to be it. So Malkoun, I'm going to ride or die with him this weekend. I love him. Yeah, he's the favorite. Yeah, but the style will make fights, and he is going to break this man's will and just crush his soul by doing the exact same thing that he likes to do. Grapple, wrestle, push on a pace. You're going to see one man still standing, and you're going to see Andre Petroski. He's got a hammer and a sickle tattoo. Super weird. Anyways, doesn't matter. He's about to get folded up here.
Here's my only thing I'm going to push back on Cody, and that why Malkoun decision. It's death taxes and Malkoun decision. It's like the Abdul Razak Al Hassan fight. That guy can't fight 15 minutes, and Malkoun just kind of like, he's just happy to get takedowns and just hang out on top position. Like, that's how Malkoun rolls.
He's 25 years old at the time, right? So he holds him down. Yeah, he's 25. And then AJ Dobson, okay, it's a step up. And Brandon Allen's headlining a card next weekend and is considered a fringe contender at this point. Nick Maximov, the guy, Petroski choked him out quick. Outside of that,
those fights were ever close to being
fairly
finished.
Durable guy. It's not how much power he has, which is not a whole lot. It's not how much finishing ability he has, which isn't a whole lot. When you're backpacked on a guy who's so gassed out that he's lying flat and you're smacking him on both sides, keyword, and you're smacking him around like King Kong Bundy, it's over. It's over. They're gonna call it. And Maximov has a way when he's in that bad spot and he can't hip out and he's tired. Going to call it all she wrote. He's just going to accept it. And that's what I'm expecting here. So again, I sound so harsh on these guys, but you're not here to listen to this guy can win and this guy can win to fight. It's like sometimes you got to take a hard stance. It's a 14 fight card. There's lots of fights I'm looking to pass on. There's a couple fights that I'm looking to zone in on. Jacob Malkoun is one of those fights.
All right. So here's another shoey bet proposition. I'll take fight goes to decision in this one. And you take fight doesn't go to decision in this one.
At 4-1, is that what you're going to give me? Because
it's a pick 'em.
Malkoun by TKO. Malkoun by TKO is plus 425.
I'm not taking. So I have no interest. No, I'm not doing that. That's dumb.
And if you get submitted, which is also a possibility. Did I mention he's Robert Whitaker's BJJ coach? If you get choked out, you still win. You still win, Paul.
There's no bet to be had here. Soft. I'm saying I'm giving you fight goes to decision, which is minus 150 plus 120.
Have some gumption,
I'm gonna bet Malkoun by decision. I don't have any interest in adding a shoey bet to this type of thing. I thought if you were so confident about someone dying, if you were so confident about somebody dying inside the distance in this fight, then you would take the 50-50 shot. I was trying to find a line that was like 50-50.
You know how to play to my ego where you're like, I just goad him into it. And I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty tempted to just take it, to stick it to you.
You should.
But it would feel so much. Okay, I'll tell you what. I don't want a 4-1. I don't want a 4-1.
There's no 4-1s being offered here.
I'm looking at it right now.
I'm not offering you the type of prop that you are looking for here. I'm not saying it doesn't exist out there. I'm saying you're right. Fight goes to decision versus fight doesn't go to decision.
The 425, it doesn't exist. You're right. Give me a 3-1 shoey bet. Would you take that? I'm giving you 125 points value, Paul Shaughnessy.
On what? Malkoun doesn't get a knockout?
By TKO. Malkoun by TKO, and you've got the field. You've got every other result, including Malkoun getting himself disqualified.
4-1?
Which is on the...
3-1. You said 3-1. You said 3-1?
3-1.
Yeah, I'll do
3-1 shoey bet.
Deal.
Yeah, okay. But if I lose, I take 1.
1, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. In on that.
We're going to have to start writing these things down because these shoey bets are getting complicated now. So Malkoun...
Oh, I'll remember this.
KO.
When Malkoun's sitting over him,
3-1,
smacking him up.
The other one that we did earlier was. Yeah,
I got a bad pick earlier, don't I?
What was the total? Yeah, it was a 2-1. It was a 2-1. Oh, it was Landwehr. Landwehr versus Emmers. You have Emmers. Cody
so if you
Emmers.
lose, you're taking 3, and if I lose both, I am also taking 3.
That sounds incredibly fair.
Oh
yeah, no, it would be 4 for me. Yeah, it'd be 4.
And just have you get tanked right on camera in Las Vegas. But draft beer is not a real shoe. You gotta take a can. It's like they give you half a beer.
I'll bring
draft beer for whatever reason goes down way easier. This carbonated stuff. Whoa.
I'll bring an extra kid's boot for you to get work done.
Please don't.
Oh, you'll love it once you embrace it. You'll learn to appreciate it. All right, finally, it's been a bit of a marathon here. 14 fights. You got Callan Loughran taking on Angel Pacheco, -350 for Loughran, +280 for Pacheco. Who you got?
Yeah, so here's my Pacheco story. Now that it's anything interesting, but he was basically getting shopped around in the regional scene like a month ago or 6 weeks ago. There's like, does anybody want to book Angel Pacheco? He's looking to take tough fights. Don't get me wrong. He's not avoiding anybody, but he's 32 years old. He got his one crack in the Contender Series. It was a banger of a fight. Put up some, big volume, big numbers against Danny Silva. Danny Silva went on to cash out as an underdog in his UFC debut. We bet Danny Silva on the basis of he looked good against Angel Pacheco. So he's not bad. But at 32, this is him at his best. This is him in his physical prime. He's got less than 10 pro fights. He hasn't been tested a whole lot. You can throw up volume, but again, he's not super refined in any one area. The UFC doesn't bring him back. Hasn't booked any other fight since. Again, his management team's been shopping him around, but he's very much a free agent. Callan Loughran, meanwhile, the fact that they've booked him with it, and it wasn't like he's stepping in as a replacement. Not sure what the story is that the UFC doesn't sign him and then have randomly picked him up and thrown him in there. But they need a body for this Loughran. He's a pretty solid fighter all around. Still only 27 years old. To be honest with you, as far as the regional scene goes, it's good guys by Cage Warrior standards. Like this Luke Shanks, 10-3. He's pretty solid. This Dylan Hazan, I actually really like that guy a lot, right? 9-0. Solid enough. It's the fight with Taylor Lapalus where I totally faded him because I really like Taylor Lapalus. And I just don't think that this kid's fought to anybody of that level. He pressed forward the entire time. He's strong like a bull. He's continuously marching you down. Volume, it's not that he doesn't have great volume. It's that it's very hard to hit Taylor Lapalus.
The accuracy.
So when you look at when you look at the numbers, it's like, oh, he got outstruck 84-48. 48 significant strikes landing against Lapalus against a mobile opponent who sticks and move and jabs and move. It's hard, man. And he also racked up 2 takedowns on him. Again, when he'll kind of like, his footwork's not great. He doesn't cut off the cage great, but because he's so hyper aggressive at times, is that he can just back you up, come forward, back you up to the cage, and then shoot that takedown. You back up against the cage, him with double unders, very physically strong, pick you up, dump you to the ground. Whereas Lapalus, a guy that's on his second go around with the UFC, who won, a major title outside of the organization before coming back, he's solid. You know, he showed Lauthrin a couple things. In this matchup, I think you're going to see a much better version of him. And with Angel Pacheco, yeah, he can throw up this crazy volume, but he's going to get dumped. Like, Lauthrin's going to put his hands on him and pick him up and slam him to the ground, get up on top. Whereas you're always worrying about cardio. He didn't gas against Lapalus. He got frustrated and started to run out of, things to do in there, but he's still young. He's come forward. I like him. I think that he goes out there and puts on a solid performance. And the line, pretty indicative of that. I think he's minus 350 right now. He's a big favorite. People like him. I think usually when you see a fighter in a sophomore outing, coming off a loss, young fighter coming off a loss, it's good for him. Coming off a quality loss where he looked good against a quality level opposition, that's all good. Now it's second fight in the UFC. Now you're more comfortable. Now you're more situated, and you're taking on a guy who, again, was going to take like a 2-2 or a 3-3 like 6 weeks ago. Did he earn his way there? Or is he a body? And I think the UFC knows, hey, this Lauthrin kid's pretty tough. Lapalus, that's a tough-ass debut, man. He's got a bright future. Let's build him up the proper way. Let's get him a winnable fight, and that's exactly it. Good thing with this fight is if it was to blow up in my face, is this the very first fight of the card. So you could rebuild. And I don't recommend rebuilding. That's how you get chasing. That's how you get losing. But it was the first fight on a 14-fight card. Come on, you're going to rebuild a little bit. So, knock it out of the way early. But Lauthrin should roll up on this guy. Malkoun, I'm going to be heavily invested in. Melissa Gatto, to a certain extent. I get those three out right away, and then I'm going to be knowing if I'm sitting nice for the rest of the day or if I got toasted and I have the chance of now betting on an 11-fight card moving forward. Sucks. You don't want to chase. Don't recommend it. Again, the fights that I like are all early, and I prefer that because it gives you some ability to maneuver things around the later the fight goes. Hedge out need be, the later these cards goes. Get your solid fights in your lock, so to speak, in early. I'm all for it. So, yeah, man, that's what I'm hoping for this weekend.
Yeah, Pacheco's loss to Danny Silva on Contender Series doesn't look that bad, I suppose, in hindsight.
Like that Danny Silva guy, yeah, it was a good fight.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really good fight. It was like crazy volume in that, 204 to 197, and Danny Silva edges out that fight on Contender Series. So it was like one of those rare situations, I guess not so rare anymore, where even in a losing effort, they kind of like, hey, don't get crazy and go signing some contracts to somewhere else because like you're on like a short list. But yeah, Loughran, outside of taking on Lapalus, who's a very, very experienced veteran of the regional scene in Europe, everything else that he's done as a pro has looked pretty solid. So, do I love the minus 350 on him as a favorite? No, not really. If this turns into a firefight, am I confident that he could keep a pace of like 190 significant strikes? No, I'm not. But if Danny Silva was able to find takedowns against Angel Pacheco, I'm pretty confident that Kalen Loughran will be able to find those takedowns and then some. So I understand why he's the favorite. He will be the pick. But yeah, 14 fights on the card, lots of other MMA and other sports, everything. There's a smorgasbord of entertainment this weekend. So Kalen Loughran minus 350 isn't really, isn't getting the juices flowing for me. Anyway, Cody, hit him with the PRP.
All right, let's go PRP. We've had a lot of underdogs hit in main events over the last couple of months, so hopefully the trend continues to an extent. Manon Fiorot plus 160, going to be dog number 1. We're going to go with Vicente Luque, Bruno Silva. We're going to go with Ruziboev, who could look like $1 million, or he could be an apple pie shitter, but we will see. We're going to go with Bill Algeo, like him this week. Rhys Mckee, underdog number 2, and an underdog I very much do like. Going to go with Jamall Emmers. That one pains me, and I got a bet with Paul on there for Shuey. Lupita Godinez. Julio Arce, minus 400, a little bit thick for my blood, but we'll go with that. Potter Matthews, that's going to be dog number 3. Ibo Aslan, Melissa Gatto, Jacob Malkoun, and Loughran. And then the guys that for me anyways, like for people that are always like, oh, give it to me in advance, I pretty much just told you, but Jacob Malkoun, I like, right? This Loughran, I like. Gatto, we'll drop her down a little bit, but for the sake, I'm just going to toss around right now just to see. Arce, I don't even know. Arce, okay. Just because I hate Herbert Bird so much. So much, Paul. Lupita Godinez, tons of value there. Bill Algeo, maybe Ruziboev. Yeah, now you're just getting greedy. You got so many plays going on, but still, that's only a 7-fight parlay and it pays 10-1. So it's like, who's gonna screw it up? Maybe you drop Gato for the time being, and we'll just drop Arce because the value's really not there. Between those 5 guys, plus 446. Now, I know people are saying, Ruziboev, he's not trustworthy. Okay, drop him. 4-fight parlay, minus 297. There's value there. It's just who are going to be your locks. And in my case, I really like Malkoun. Lauthrin, not as much as I like Malkoun. But still, I like him. Gato, I like her. Lupita Godinez, I think she matches up real good against Virna. Bill Algeo, this is a great spot for him. Ruziboev, there's the red flags of he's going to gas out. There's red flags there. Arce, there's the red flags of he's moving up a weight class. He's been off a year and a half. Gato, not a ton. The money line's dropping on her hard. Like now she's only minus 150. So I'm clearly missing something there. But I don't think I am. I'm still gonna bet. It doesn't really matter. All I'm getting at is you got 4 or 5 good picks. That's all you need. Between all the other cards, you could get real spicy. You can make these crazy 12, 13, 14, 15 fight parlays that we all love. But the main thing is stick to the guys that you like, stick to the girls that you like, the over-unders that you like, the parlays that the props that you like, and then just kind of hone it in between everything. So yeah, this feels like a marathon show that's been going on for 2 hours, and I'm sure it has, between 14 fights. And I could talk 3 more cards if you wanted to, but unfortunately there's time caps on this stuff, so I'll leave you with that.
You're moving into a new house. You're gonna be in a new setting.
Exactly.
As of next week.
And I was supposed to have a baby yesterday, but this doctor apparently don't know shit. My last baby was actually 10 days late, so it's not unusual. But man, they give you a due date, you're all ready, and then it's just disappointment. Wake up in the morning, man, baby today. Go to the doctor's office, they're like, go home, chill. You can't go home and chill, so disappointment.
Hurry up and wait.
Paul.
You'll be waiting on that kid a whole bunch more for other things
for 18 years
until you get them out of the house, and then they're on their own. Hopefully, you've done a good job and they don't get themselves in trouble. Oh yeah, we'll be in Vegas, UFC 300 week. So at the Circa, I'll be there a whole bunch doing stuff. I don't know what Cody's going to be up to in between recordings and stuff like that, but I'll be doing a whole bunch of stuff with Pat. But yeah, if you're around and want to say hi to us, you know where we'll be. We'll be at like the Circa pool mostly. That's probably the easiest way to track us down during the lead up to the Masters and UFC 300. But that is it for us this week. Hope you enjoyed the show. For producer Megan and Cody Saftik, I'm Paul Shaughnessy saying goodbye and good luck.